Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 468. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, alongside zero-time world champion, zero-time major winner.
I cashed at a major.
You
the
did.
Japan
Open, 2010.
I did. Took home 10,000 yen.
Yeah, 2010. Yes.
Yeah, 10,000 yen. I'm a major.
Yeah, you did.
In a MPO major, I have cashed, which to me, good enough.
Yeah. Hence the applicable Brixton card.
Yeah, I mean, that's why basically they gave it to me. It was my,
They're
was
like,
my
let's
cash.
look at this guy's stats. 150 class. Slightly modified that year, but slightly modified.
Up to 159.
Yep, 150 class. Japan. Let's check the yen. Yep,
Yeah.
check.
I had to hit, it was actually 10,000 yen and above the people that made cards for, so I just squeaked in.
Yes, well, there you go. Well, that's why he's here, everyone. Johnny V, he's back this week. And I was just explaining to him the mild debacle, but yet a salvageable week last week. So thank you to everyone that deplored a little patience and accepting nature of the madness that was last week. So some people wrote me and said, we could understand and see how frustrated you were. I didn't get too rowdy or out of line, but it was very frustrating, the fact that everything seemingly was up and running. Gannon was ready to go. Everything was ready to go with all the fancy stuff. And I ended up ultimately saying, F it. And I literally put my phone up in front of me and just
I'll have to take a look.
Had a good review from there. It was good enough. We had a regular size turnout, so to speak. I don't want to call it average. Even though I guess that'd be an appropriate word. We had an average turnout, and thank you guys so much. So.
Yeah, Glenn Reiser is asking, when is that episode going to be available?
See, they're calling for it.
They're begging for it. I'll take a look and see if I can pull that down from YouTube and make it happen. Last Monday, I bought tickets to go see one of my favorite bands, and I think I'll honestly say one of the bands that has like just the most solid lineup of albums, which is Jimmy Eat World. One of my just hands down, like their first, I think they have 10 or 11 albums now, but for my take, like the first 5 or 6 are gold from start to finish.
And let me quickly interrupt and say, Johnny was on the Jimmy Eat World train well before they hit like
the middle.
Before their popularity and popular stardom and household namedness.
I saw
the brief time they had it. Johnny was on that
open up
way before
for a band called The Promise Ring and Sensefield here at the basement of the Rave. And a good friend of ours, Ryan Hornicle, was also on board with them for a long time. So last Monday, I'm like, all right, I'm going to buy tickets. Tuesday, I'm going to skip the podcast. Tuesday morning, I wake up, and about 7:15, I get a text message from work saying we have an issue, and there's some sort of security issue I need to look into. And the next thing I know, it is 3 a.m. on Wednesday morning. I did not leave this basement in front of these monitors. I was working on some security stuff that has just become a minor nightmare for me over the last week. So I didn't even get a chance to see my concert, which was very disappointing.
You should have just given me the tickets. You could have dealt with the problem.
One ticket I could have.
Yeah, we could have both skipped the.
So I didn't even get a chance to see the concert I really wanted to see.
Jeez, what a waste.
Yeah. So anyway, bummer for me, but a lot of work. So I missed the show. I missed this show, and I missed my family for like a week. But you know what? That happens. I'm here this week because this is what matters. This is like the only fun thing I've done in a week.
Well, speaking of fun, a little too much fun for all of our players or too much work for them to do. In full disclosure, I had reached out to our 2 champions from the DGLO perspective this weekend. Regular protocol would indicate we often have champions of the previous weekend. And Simon had gotten back to me and said that he's committed to the upshot this week, and he'll get us on the next one, which, would sometimes feel kind of like a brush off or an empty promise, but not with the way Simon Lazat's playing these days. The next one could be as early as next week or the week after a Worlds. It could be any time. So, look, we like the guys. We don't love. We like? Yeah, we like the guys over at the Upshot. So whenever they have Simon on, certainly go out and take a listen. And understandably, Simon, who's in the spotlight often, I think sometimes struggles with having to answer similar questions and or retell things a million times because we do have more media obligations than ever before these days.
And I'll say this to any pro that feels that way, including Simon. One, I'm slightly offended that he thinks that our stupid questions are anything like the questions on other podcasts.
That's true. We are different in a lot of ways. I think last time we had a whole derailment of darts for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, we talked about his Instagram dart following and how he knows like the world champion dart player who's a fan of his. And we're not, I mean, yeah, we would have asked him about hole 15 or 16 or whatever it was where he threw it over the top. And and of course, you have to have the stock issue, but that's like 2 questions. And like, congratulations, Simon, you won. Tell us about this shot. And let's
get off the rails.
Let's talk about something that doesn't matter.
But anyway,
any pro, if you're worried about repeating yourself, never worry about that with us.
Yeah. We've had Madison Walker doing owl calls here. I don't think we're like a lot of the other operations, but whenever he is on that one of the other podcasts, make sure you enjoy that. Owen Scoggins had a very busy day. She actually just got back to me recently. I wrote her quite a while ago and just got back, just saw the message, and she's eating and calling in tonight. So Owen, we miss you. Congratulations to Owen as well. It does not help our case, not only that we're live, but that we're live so late, and now the entire tour has moved on to the East Coast or into the Eastern time zone. I got to keep saying that. Into the Eastern time zone, which makes it even later for them. So you may be stuck with us. We may have another special guest possibly be able to jump in with us, but it might be just us breaking things down tonight. So
it might
thank you for joining. And again, thank you for the patience from last week's challenges. So with that, Johnny, let's quickly recap some of that boring golf that we saw or that transpired this weekend.
Sure. Let me pull up the Discraft Great Lakes Open presented by Grip 6. That's out in the Toboggan course. I heard some of the other podcasts asking, like, man, has Worlds ever been at the Toboggan? And I kind of had to chuckle to myself, and I was like, I was there. I was there, my friends, the first year, 2004.
2000.
Or 2000, you're right. I'm sorry, 2000.
Even before that.
Ugh, wow. The Toboggan. Over on the FPO side, we called it a few weeks ago, Own winning an Elite Series event. We said if she was going to win one, but these were her best chances. With Tatar out of the country, she didn't have to go up against her. So she got to compete against the rest of the best. And she finally pulled one out. She wins her very first Elite Series event, and no one better than Own to win. And I'm happy that the trophy was some sort of cup, because she definitely used it multiple times. I was excited to see that. But Own Scoggins shoots 25 under. She starts the event with 3 straight 7 under pars, and then finishes it up with a 4 under par. Ella Hansen kind of made it a little bit interesting. She got down to the end and only won by 2 strokes. Of course, she had, I believe, a 4-stroke lead going into the final hole, but Owen went out of bounds and then was able to lay up and whatnot. So shooting a 23 was Ella Hansen. 5 strokes below her, Kat Murch. 3 strokes below Kat was Missy Gannon and Holland Handley. In 6th place was Jen Allen. 7th place, Maria Oliva. 8th place, Sarah Hokum. 9th place, Haley King. And a tie for 10th between Jessica Weiss and Alexis Manduhano. That is your top 10 in the FPO. Ultimately, Own, I mean, you want to use the puns. She owned it. She dominated
Stone cold.
She was, yes, stone cold. Just got it done, ultimately. It's funny because a lot of people call this a bomber course, a big course. I don't feel like this course particularly lends itself to the women bombers because of the par 4s. They're far enough where the women aren't getting up there for birdie or eagle, and everybody's getting up there for birdie. Yeah. So they may have a 50-foot shorter approach shot than Own, or 25 feet, depending on the layout. But we know with Own's skill, she's getting it almost, if not just as close as them. And if she doesn't, she's going to drop in the circle 1 putts from somewhere. This course just was set up for Own.
Yeah, it's set up is, I don't know if I'd go as far as saying that, but it was, she could easily recover from anywhere where her distance didn't give her an advantage. And
easy to make up the deficits. Well, I don't think this is
exactly.
set up for a long thrower FPO
Correct.
at all,
Yeah,
which to me takes away all their advantage.
Yeah, and it was. Here's a stat that I saw just this afternoon. I actually wanted to save it because I thought it was so incredible. If I can find it, and it was brought to us by our friends at Statmando. So here it is. Owen Scoggins won DGLO without a single birdie on a par 3, becoming the first major, elite, or silver winner to go the event without one in the last 3 seasons. Scoggins was 30 under, or negative 30, on par 4s and 5s, with only a single bogey the last hole of the tournament.
Well, real quick, let's look at the par 3s. Hole 1, 516 feet. No FPO players getting that. Hole 5, 480 feet. It's gettable. Ella Hansen, Jen Allen, Haley King. There were quite a few that got that, but she didn't. It's a pretty big pull.
Yeah.
Then you move up to hole 9, which is 472. There's a few people that get that one. Maybe 4 or 5 people in the field that got that. Hole 11, which is 442. A handful got that one, but not many. Hole 12 is her main opportunity, 267 feet.
And even that,
it's
that
not
plays 325, 330,
which
you have to hit it hard.
Exactly, which she has, and she could get it, but it's not a gimme 267 like on flat ground, and she didn't get that any round. And then you go to hole 16, which is 396, the island hole, where it could be a 2 or a 4.
Yeah.
And there are a handful of 3s in there, but a lot of 2s and 4s.
So I understand that.
So there's like 2 or 3 opportunities truly for her to get a birdie on a par 3 on this type of course, and she didn't get them. We know she can. She just didn't.
It's crazy to think, though, to not birdie in 4 rounds of play, to not birdie a single par 3, and that all lends to exactly what you were just saying in terms of the par 4s and the par 5s, that those were gettable and attackable, that her distance didn't hinder her. Now, Owen is never getting a 3 on hole number 3. It's not going to happen. She's that's where a few of the women, Ella, Holland, Haley King, Jennifer Allen, that's where they have an advantage to potentially pick up an eagle. Someplace like hole number 3 is a great example of that for the eagle. Similarly, hole number 17. I mean, Jennifer Allen birdied it with going out of bounds. So she clearly could potentially get the eagle 3 on that. I get that. It's just wild that Owen went through the entire event without getting, and for every reason you just said, some of those are bonus birdies. And in fact, during the broadcast, I said the best opportunity for our competitors to possibly gain an advantage come on the likes of holes 11 and 12. And Owen put a couple there to have a long look for birdie, but you have to birdie 11 and you have to get hole 12. Those are just 2 spots where you have a good chance to get one on Owen. And Ella Hansen put herself very close to the pin on 11 during, I think, round 3, didn't birdie it. That was a huge missed opportunity. Hole 12, I don't think she got during round 3. Again, you have to get those because Owen's getting every par 4 and 5. So that was kind of the story. And I didn't think about it in terms of her, what she did throughout the totality of the weekend. But then Statmando putting that out today, thank you so much. It's shocking. She won a 4-round event and didn't birdie a single par 3 hole.
I don't know. Obviously, it hasn't been done before, so it's relatively amazing.
Yeah, and so I thought that was really cool. Thank you, Statmando.
Some of her other stats, it looked like she was about, 6th in fairway hits, which not too bad. She didn't get herself in much trouble. C1 or Circle 1 in regulation, she was 6th in there, it looks like. I mean, she made up a ton on the putting green. No surprise. Zero surprise at all.
Wait, I'm shocked. No, I'm not shocked.
You're not shocked. She was number 1 in C1X.
Yeah.
And
that was with a less than great final day.
Yes, that was with a less than great.
She was 97% coming into the final round. She was I think she went 92%, 100%, 100%, all going into the final round, which had her at 97%. And then I think she struggled. Her stats were a little different.
She gained
final
4
day.
strokes on C1X over Ella Hansen. She was at 9.25. Ella Hansen was at 5.8. There's your win right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that 9.25 is versus the field, so I kind of want to look at who she looked at versus her competition, so to speak, because it's really tough to compare that to someone who, is, -5, way down at the bottom.
Sure.
Compared to the rest of the field. So I like to look at how it works versus the rest of the field, and ultimately that's where she got Ella, was on the putting green.
Wow, and here is an update as unbelievable.
Shocking updates.
There is. This is a shocking update. At one point during the round, in the middle of the round, I was sent the payouts because I was just genuinely curious what they would look like. And I could have swore I was sent a note that said $8,500. And as I'm going over to the PDGA page, and I could be wrong.
It's 85,000?
No, it's 10,000 even.
That's a really good payout.
Damn right it is.
Is that her best payout ever?
It ties her technically
with the match play.
With the match play event. And you know who took second at the match play event?
That wasn't Ella, was it?
I'll give you a hint. She took second here.
Oh.
Ella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I'm thinking
beat
back.
Ella.
I remember the hug. I remember the big hug at the end.
So I don't know if this is a good or bad omen. Onen. That when Owen wins her biggest paycheck, right there collecting second place is Ella Hansen.
She's keeping Ella at arm's distance, kind of holding her or holding her forehead from the big.
Like, hey, I got this one.
I got the big check.
I got this one.
Don't you worry.
So Owen would then tie for her largest paycheck ever at $10,000, which, just to put that in a little bit of perspective, clearly it is looking through a different glass. But when you look at that, Owen wins 10 grand for first place this weekend. Her 2 previous majors this year added up to 4,300. Much smaller fields, much smaller payouts. Of course, it's not meant to be a true comparison, but it still is interesting to be like, Owen's won 2 majors in FP40 for 4,300. She wins 10 grand this weekend, and I can't imagine that the Innova bonus looks too bad either.
More than likely not.
So
that's got to be 50 grand, right? That's what the Innova bonuses are?
No.
Why not? Come on, Innova. Step up your game. I got the Innova shirt on today.
Wow. Yeah.
So
I was going to say it might be older than Owen, but that one's not. That's older than most of our viewers, though.
Hannah Macbeth says she could buy 1 Taylor Swift ticket with that winning.
As long as you take one of my daughters, I don't care. I was going to say one of my favorite daughters. Take one of my daughters with that. That sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Wild. Congratulations. We saw a lot of the course changes. We can dig a little more into those, but we saw the course changes. We saw the flow of play that was relatively well. The women,
it didn't seem like there was really a lot of big backups.
No, and the women escaped any kind of rain delay or backup. We experienced that during the first round on the MPO side. The women essentially went straight through. So that, silver lining, so to speak, on that perspective as well. There was no backups during day one of the FPO competition. I don't know if there's a lot more to say on those overall stats or standings. I want to take a quick...
Ultimately, we have been on the Owen bandwagon for a long time. I mean, we knew her back in her legacy days, when she was a legacy player, when she was taking people for putting at the local, when she was taking some fools for some putting money back in the day. And, it's just really nice, and it's really happy to see Owen finally get her Elite Series win after taking second 5 times last year.
Yeah.
To get over the hump. And I know some people are going to, as you always say, you can only beat the people who show up. It would have been, I think, maybe a little bit nicer story if she would have beat Kristen Tatar, the #1 player in the world. But Kristen Tatar was busy beating other people this weekend.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's just a really good feeling story for Owen, that after so many years at her age, 42 or 43, she's only been in the Masters a few years, so I think maybe it's 43, that she can still compete with every one of those women out there. And that she is always one of the first people to congratulate the winner.
Yeah.
She bounces to the winner with a hug.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of the people that is always congratulating great shots. She mentioned it on one of the interviews that she did, maybe it was with Tournament Central, that it would just feel bad. She knows all the hours that all these women put in, and that to not celebrate one of their great shots would feel disrespectful. And so I don't believe there was probably any woman, even Ella Hansen, who took second to her again, who was sad to see Ohn Scoggins with this victory. Like, she has put in the time, she has put in the effort. She is the best putter in the division, hands down. To see her finally get a win.
Yeah, it everything that's so exciting and fun and bubbly and energetic and genuine and authentic. Like, she is all of those things, but yet she's fierce and competitive, and yet still can have a good time. And then, as you just said, celebrates everyone else's shot. She's a cheerleader for everyone else. And she will celebrate as hard as anyone else out there as well. All of that, like, she is all of that and then some.
There was a post after she had been being seen celebrating out of her trophy with a beer. Someone's like, I bet Ohn could hold her own. And I made it, and I had to hold back saying, not only would Ohn hold her own, she would be the last one standing.
Yeah.
Like, that's just Ohn. So, yes, that is.
I'm not going head to head with her anytime soon.
No, I don't think anyone. She's number one in putting, and I bet she could be number one in that field as well.
Yeah.
Because Ohn used to be a party animal, and she still, I think, enjoys herself a good drink with 300 putts. You know, give her a cold drink and a stack of putters, and I don't know if Ohn could be any happier.
Yeah. So congratulations to Ohn Scoggins. I'm just seeing here for the first time Glenn saying that she joked about being glad Tatar was in Europe this week on the Nick and Matt podcast. And she loves Tatar, though. Of course she does. So congrats. And like we just said, yeah, you can only beat the women who show up. It does give the rest of the field a slightly easier pathway to a potential elite or elite plus or playoff victory when you have the likes of Kristen Tatar, obviously not in attendance because she's playing in the European Disc Golf Championships. And then you have an injured Paige Pierce, who hasn't been as dominant this year, but she is injured. And then you have another one of your main competitors in Katrina Allen struggling currently with her form and everything else. And she hasn't been a factor as of late either.
Amazing seeing. Someone had said that, like, Katrina was in last place at one point.
She was.
I didn't believe them. I thought, she's down on the thing. I looked, I'm like, wow, like, literally last place. That is a place that Katrina Allen clearly not familiar with.
No.
I was thinking, well, maybe she's injured, or maybe she's just working through something with a form. She seems like that type that would really want to, regardless of what's going on, really want to nail down any issues she has before the World Championships, regardless of what it costs her on the course. So I hope that everything's okay with Kat. I hope that she can come out because she has played well at Smuggler's Notch in the past. So to see her out there, I really hope that she's got her game on.
And quite honestly, one thing I was somewhere rambling around in my head when we were closing out both FPO and MPO shows this weekend. For what it's worth, for a little while, Katrina was unbeatable at Smuggler's Notch.
Yeah.
I think she
was
won
like Ricky.
like 4 times in a row.
It was like her and Ricky.
And now the fields always had varied and but when she went there, she was unbeatable. That was for the first few years, and then the event continued to grow. And so she's known the property and she's seen success there. Exact same thing as of Ricky Wysocki. I think he was also like a 4-time champion coming into Smuggler's Notch. And as that event continued to grow, obviously we saw the competition get stiffer, and then Ricky didn't dominate the property like he did at one point. But both Katrina and Ricky, in their own regard, as that event was growing and maturing and becoming a stop on the Pro Tour and then getting larger and caught up, so to speak, to scale, those were 2 players who were there early and had adopted the place, the experience, and knew how to win at those. So just put that in the back of your, in your mind, whenever you're doing your picks. Ricky right now seems to be on a pretty good path as he's sitting anywhere in that like 3rd to 10th place spot often as he's come back. and of course he's performed very well at some of the events, well, all of them, honestly. Kat may have a bigger battle right now, and just to kind of finish that thought, it was Preserve, I believe. She didn't. I don't think she played well there, but it was at Idlewild and Ledgestone, specifically Ledgestone, where I think she had said essentially like, yeah, I would, if I could, I'd get in my car and just go, or I'd get on a plane and go home right now. Like, I don't want to be here. Everything feels off, and I really don't want to be going through this. So we've seen her struggle. It has been more so what you're saying along the lines of a swing issue, and her timing is just off. And when she got to Idlewild, she said, I'm throwing 14 forehands off the tee out of 18 holes here, because that's where she felt most comfortable, because her backhand swing. Now, thankfully for her and for other forehanders, like Idlewild does set up for that, but she was really leaning into it because she feels like her backhand form is just not where she wants it to be. So,
got to work through it.
And that's exactly what she's saying. Is she wants to grind it out. She said if she could, she was just a hair away from essentially getting on a plane and going home and packing it up and calling it until she gets it figured out. But she wanted to stick out the events because she thought that'd be better overall for her. So that's where she's at. So you're seeing one of our greatest FPO players work through something right now. I mean, you're seeing it with your own, your own two eyes, so to speak, week in and week out. And that meant a rough finish in a place that she loves. She's really good friends with a lot of the representatives and higher ups at Discraft. She remains friends with them because she was sponsored by Discraft many moons ago, for those that don't know. And immediately she was out on a lake, I think even Sunday afternoon or Monday, enjoying herself and trying to take in the rest of that experience, because she does love being there and she loves those people. Just a rough weekend on the course for her. So we'll see. We'll see if what she does to get dialed in. She is, we'll talk about it in a moment, but she is scheduled to compete right now in the Pro Worlds Mixed Doubles, is where she is.
Her and Chris Dickerson, I believe, right?
And Chris Dickerson.
That's happening That's happening Saturday.
Yeah. As in like 4 days.
This upcoming Saturday.
So
yeah, we'll talk more about Worlds.
Exactly.
Probably either later today or later tonight, or for sure next week. Because Worlds this year is a Wednesday through Sunday and not a Tuesday through Saturday. So
yes. All right, let's move on to MPO. Congrats again to Owen Scoggins.
Yeah, the other people's champ here, Simon Lizotte. He's had more success than Owen Scoggins on the Elite Series Tour, but just as beloved. Simon beats out Eagle. They were tied going into the final round. Simon shoots a 10 under par with no bogeys. Eagle McMahon shoots a 7 under par with 2 bogeys. Chris Dickerson in third place at 25 under par, tied with Cole Redalin. So Cole, I had said a few weeks ago, after his win, you have to think about him as a competitor at Worlds. With the variety of courses, he is showing that he is a woods and an open player type of golfer because of his distance, and the accuracy doesn't seem to be hurt. So Cole really getting heated up at the right time. Fifth place, disappointing for Kelvin Heimberg. That is lower than his average finish, where he's, I think, averaging like third, 3.91. Yeah, so a disappointing finish. Fifth place.
That's going to kill his stats.
Oh my gosh, how sad is that?
But he did make it on SportsCenter.
Yes, with the double eagle, crying out loud. Amazing. Bookended eagles. Kevin Jones, again, heating up at the right time. Kevin Jones, known to play pretty decent out at Smugs, and he DJs usually at night. So, we can't go wrong with that. Isaac Robinson in 7th, Ricky Wysocki in 8th, 9th place, Anthony Barella, and a tie for 10th between Jake Ebenheimer and Gannon Burr. So congratulations, Simon. What just a solid round, that final round, to be able to more or less walk in the last few holes. He was able to go par, and not really have to worry about it. I mean, those are birdieable holes for most of the field. 18 is a little tough, but there are a few out there. If anyone can do it, it could be Eagle or Simon. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, Simon got up to, hole 16, and kind of, as everyone was saying, broke the hole by going up and over. And if my best Nate Doss impression, what? What? He just kept repeating what over and over.
It was certainly baffling for a moment.
It made complete sense after you thought about it. I just don't think anybody was thinking about it up until he got on the tee and kind of look. I saw him look up, and I'm thinking like, and I didn't know the hole that well because I hadn't watched the previous few rounds, so I knew this was a different hole than we had seen in the past. But then to see him do that, I was like, oh, there is no reason not to do that for him.
For him,
because he can reach it and get over it. Because even if you miss the island green, if you flip it over and go right and never cross, you're still playing from what, the drop zone?
Yeah, which
the
is
same
about
place,
60 feet.
The same place Eagle was playing from.
Correct.
So there was no chance of really losing a stroke there to Eagle, more than likely. I mean, the drop zone is the drop zone. It's not it's not tough. It puts you outside circle one. Most everybody is probably just going to take a 3 or a stroke there. You're not putting in from the drop zone.
Simon had gone for it during round 1. He went OB, went to the drop zone, went for the drop zone putt, and then missed the drop zone putt. So he took a double bogey, which is very easy to do there. And then there was obviously a number of people that went to the drop zone and converted from the drop zone. So a penalty 3 is not insane or crazy by any means. It was a matter of your knees are knocking when you get there, because the OB is so close to what we see directly behind the basket. So it's easy to turn that into a double bogey very, very quickly.
Do you think we're going to see a change on that hole next year?
That's what a lot of people are saying. And
how many people do you think can make that shot? I mean, a lot of our field can.
Yeah, I mean,
with the way the distance is in the MPO field these days.
Part of the big challenge clearly that comes into it is making sure that if you do go out, which he's kind of playing for, that you go out over the basket or near it.
Yes.
Because you go out in a lot, like you said, in a lot of other places, or you don't cross at all in the right place, you still might have your 50 or 60 footer, and then that doesn't feel nearly as brilliant. Will there be a change? Yeah, probably.
A Mando or
possibly, but I think what confused Nate and myself as we were watching is thinking, why are you trying to stick the island that way? Like, that's a crazy way to stick the island, and then not necessarily realizing, oh wait, you're totally fine with going beyond the back of the island. And so understandably, again, no one else, I think most people would be BSing if they're like, man, I don't know why you wouldn't just stand on that hole, throw right over top of the whole island and go right over at the back and take a circle 3. No one else was thinking that. Now, it sounds logical now after you've seen someone execute it, but nobody else was actually thinking that ahead of time. And if you were, you're probably lying. So how much will it get changed? I don't know.
As someone said, probably next year would be
a mandatory drop zone.
All OB goes to the drop zone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Mando. Because right in the rules, it says if you can either go to the drop zone or where you were last in bounds, which is pretty unique for an island green. Most of the time, island almost inevitably indicates that you will have to go to a drop zone. That's, varies in terms of its punishment. Here, if you cross somewhere, you could pick a spot. I guess we'll see. Whether it gets changed or not, I don't know if I can get fully on board with everyone's like, oh, it was a dumb rule in the first place. I don't know
why they made the rule that way, but maybe there was a good reason that we didn't think of.
Well, I know that part of the logic was in terms of making it an option was so that if somebody did go for the island and had a really good shot that just barely snuck out the back, they were in a sense rewarded with a relatively short, easy par putt. That was the logic. And I know that because I spoke with Nate Heinold briefly after the event. That was his logic.
And that makes sense.
That they're okay with that. If somebody's going for it,
gives them an incentive to go for it.
Yeah.
And that's everyone's saying Heinold wasn't pleased. Heinold wasn't happy at this thing. I don't necessarily buy that. I think that he just,
I think he was more so confused.
He didn't expect it like the rest of us.
Yes, he didn't expect it, but he was more so confused and uncertain as to the spotting and the spot of it. And to be fair, that's very difficult because let's just play pretend and say this is the 5th card. There's no gallery or little to no gallery. There's no drone shot, but it's the 5th card. And you have four good players, of course, but one player that has the arm to make sure he can get up and over. They throw the shot. One of them throws the shot. Think about the argument that can then ensue after that.
There was a spotter there, though, correct?
There was, but I'm just saying, just think in general how much more sideways I feel like that scenario could go if it's not the final card with all these people on it. I don't know. That's my take on it, is that I feel like clearly other people could have tried it, and if they wanted to. It just looked different. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. We'll see if any rules get changed. Obviously, hole 16, just in general, prior to even Simon getting there, there was a legitimate question throughout the entire weekend as to whether or not people liked the OB in the first place, and whether or not the island was too punishing, and whether or not it was appropriate for the women specifically who really struggled with the hole. I mean, the men played from that tee and really struggled with it, as did the women. And there is absolutely a legitimate conversation about all of that needs to be had.
And I know Ray says that Brian had said, I think he's even said on the podcast or on the broadcast, that Nate was questioning the spot at the back of the tee. I know a lot of people are giving Nate a hard time for that particular thing, but we don't know the context. We don't know the comment. We don't know anything. He could have just flat out said, yeah, I don't know if he cleared. I don't know if he cleared. Like, he might not have been anything malicious about it.
Yeah, I think it was a matter of not being certain as to where the spot was going to be. And as a tournament director, and let me be clear, Heinold has no ill will toward Simon.
No,
I don't know who in the world would, but Heinold specifically
I do tonight because he didn't show up.
Exactly. No, but he has no ill will. He of course wants to see the event played out in the fairest, most correct way. And I think throwing that shot brought a lot more questions up in terms of the placement, and then in terms of how it ultimately gets handled. That would be my take. That would be my guess as to how he feels about it from that perspective. But it's not like he's like, "Oh, Simon, you're such a little trickster. Stop doing that. You're embarrassing me."
It's not, and I'll say this isn't the first time we've seen Simon go a very odd route on a hole that other people really aren't thinking about. I recall Jonesboro,
hole 10,
yeah,
11,
where he took the back way.
Yep.
He's thrown over trees in general that people don't expect. The person that's doing that a lot now seems to be Kevin Jones with his grenade shots. He seems to be, rather than trying to shoot gaps, he's just throwing over things. So anyway, ultimately, congratulations, Simon. A great round. Everyone loved to see him win. Let's quickly talk about Kelvin and his Eagles. So Kelvin on hole 6 throws in from like 267.
Yeah, forehand, hole 6.
Great shot.
Yeah.
3 birdies. And then he throws in again on hole 10.
On hole 10.
From what,
297.
279
or 297.
Something like that.
You could click a button.
I probably could, but that's too much work.
I know.
278. It was 297 on the first one, 278 on the second one. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. I've heard about people getting 2 aces in a round.
Mm-hmm.
You hear about back-to-back aces from players. Like, oh, he got up, I got up. You know, two aces in a round is probably, I don't know, is it more common than 2 eagles in a round?
I mean, in theory, they're probably an eagle in the first, technically.
Correct.
Sort of. I mean, let's just face it, both of those shots, if they were from a tee, into the pin, you would be like, oh, that's a pretty sweet ace. Like both of those shots were impressive in that sense. And I know you guys, so many people hate field ace, and that's fine. I get it. But I'm just saying, if there was a tee pad and you're like, hey, this is a par 3 hole from this spot where he threw on both of those, like, oh, those are solid.
Yeah, but we do actually have a lot of opportunities for eagles in our sport with the MPO because these guys crush and they can get in. But it wasn't so much that he got 2 eagles; it was how he got 2 eagles with the throw-ins that he had. Because we've seen tap-in eagles.
Sure.
These players can throw huge distances.
Yeah, like hole 3, where you can easily have a tap-in eagle. It's 915 downhill. Somebody bites off, 2/3 of that as a pitch right literally underneath the pin, taps in for an eagle. Yeah. But, yeah, these were pretty cool, that's for sure. So congratulations. I just saw it this morning, I believe, that it was said that he had made SportsCenter. I didn't go out.
I don't
it shows you like
ESPN.
How old I'm getting, in that like that would be the only news I'd care about, and promoting it and talking about it. It's just become so much more commonplace.
It is. And as everyone always says, this is the time of year to get on SportsCenter for golf because you don't have NBA. It's NFL preseason. You've got the doldrums of baseball right now after the All-Star game, before playoffs.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of sports that are going on that people really care about. So if we're going to get on ESPN, it's going to be around this time of year usually to make those top 10s. And he did it. So congratulations.
Yeah, and whether or not you put any value in that, I totally understand. It has lost a little of its luster to me, since it's been so common, and since it is no longer like this pinnacle of all sports broadcasting that we used to think that it was. However, with all of that still being said, there's not one person in the world that would be upset or mad or disappointed if they made it for any given reason. So that is not to take any shine off what he's done. Pretty cool for Kelvin to see. I mean, just think, even if you don't think it's that big of a deal anymore, your parents do. Your cousins do. All of your closest friends do. Nobody in his closest circles are like, who cares? Like, no one's saying that. It's awesome.
I bet you Zach Melton would say that.
Zach's not in his closest circle. Should I be disappointed? I got no hate for when I ripped out a zinger on Zach Melton this weekend. I got no hate, no other post, no fault. Maybe everybody just agreed with it.
Or maybe people don't know who he is.
Oh, that's possible. During the FPO,
was that Kelvin's caddy?
During one of the FPO rounds, it was either must have been 3. I think it was round 3. There was a backup on 13, a brief one, and maybe it was round 4. Either way, 3. Ella Hansen shows her water bottle, which has a Zach Melton sticker on it. Chanimal was caddying for her, and we were just waiting around a backup, and then she shows the water bottle, which has a very distinct Zach Melton sticker. So that's the only way Zach Melton's getting on lead card these days. He was there with the FPO.
Yeah.
And I said, I love Zach, which I do.
That's not what I heard.
And I just figured somebody would tell somebody, and I would get some hate mail, like, how dare you disrespect him that way? It's in good fun, of course. Anyway, Zach Melton.
That was the one time his parents were watching. Way to go.
Yeah, his parents.
Well, no, his parents aren't watching for him. They're watching for someone else.
Like, we really like this Ella in this home. We don't get to see you much, Zachy.
Yeah. Oh, Zachy, where are you? Oh, gosh.
Anyway, so, yeah, pretty wild.
That's your Great Lakes Open, a DGPT playoffs unified Elite Series Plus event.
4-round event. Well, excuse me. Click on
4-round without a cut. By the way, stupid.
Let's have a cut. I incorrectly, and Dustin,
maybe because it's a playoff, they don't have a cut. But
Dustin Giuliano, who is the Disc Golf Pro Tour graphics guy, celebrating his birthday today. So let's start there with happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Dustin.
I had said on air, I said, yeah, it's a 4-round event. There'll be a cut after 3 rounds. And he was on the chat day 1. He's like, nope, no cut. I was like, oh, I just assumed there was. So I was 100% incorrect for making that assumption. I don't know why there's not. I still feel like there should be, but
I mean, I think there should be.
Everybody has their reasons,
but because maybe it's a playoff event that they're not doing that. It's the field is already smaller. It's only 73 people as opposed to
no, isn't it 96?
Oh well,
I think it's 96.
I scroll down to the bottom of MPO and it says 73.
It's only 70. Oh, so the next one.
The next one is 180 people. Just kidding. I don't know.
No, the next one is either only 73. Really?
That's what
I thought. This was 90. Oh, is it 96? No, not. I don't know. Again, I can't keep it all straight. No, I thought it was. I thought it was going from 96 down to 72 at MVP, but it must be going down to the 48 or 54 at MVP. Okay.
Who knows?
Either way. So what I was gonna say is, if I was wrong about the women's payout, you would have to assume that the men's was adjusted from what I saw. Simon Lizotte.
15?
15K.
Wow. That buys some nice darts.
Yeah. Baby food?
Maybe. A diaper or two?
Now you can afford to take me to the casino for my half birthday? Huh. Nonetheless, 15,000 for first. Eagle McMahon, 10 grand. Chris Dickerson for 6 grand, along with Cole Radallen, Calvin Heimberg, Ty and Kevin Jones, each getting 3,200. So those are some of the math. That's incredible. $100,000 purse on the button. $100,000.
That makes sense
that
for a
used to
for
be
Nate
like
Heinold.
a big number.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a big number.
It is. Yeah, but I mean, that used to be
because there's only 4 or 5 events that are more than that probably throughout the year. Worlds, USDGC, Champions Cup, Ledgestone.
And the Tour Championship.
The Tour
which
Championship.
Isn't standard stroke play, but yeah. So, very impressive.
Ray says the DGBT playoffs still seem a little off. Garrett Gerthy was at the cutoff to make the DGBT finals. He skipped DGLO and didn't move back in his ranking spot. It's math.
I was just going to say that's math.
I don't know math, man. And Ryan Pilcher says that in the original press release about the event way back in the spring, it said there would be a cut. So at some point,
I was right.
Changed.
I love you, Ryan.
Ryan, way to find Tarian out.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah, playoffs is kind of weird, but I personally think they should just get rid of the playoff designation and just make them Elite Series Plus. I don't think there's a reason to have a playoff other than cutting your field back, but I don't necessarily think that's a playoff. That's more but whatever. I don't really care either way what you call them.
It just playoffs, and we've discussed this in previous years when playoff, the term came about. It feels like a weird word for us within disc golf.
Yeah.
Because it's a new term to disc golf. Obviously not new to sports, but just new to our sport. So
I heard our sport made that up.
And then you have, a silver event this weekend.
Is there?
In Rochester. Yeah, I think it's still going on. And then you have a silver event going on the week after Worlds at PEI, Prince Edward Island up in Canada.
The Discmania Open.
The Discmania Open. And but they're mixed among the playoffs. So here's my take. If you're confused or it doesn't fully make sense to you, I hear you. That's what I would say. I understand.
Your scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, this weekend's Jim Palmieri's 50th AFDO presented by Dynamic Discs. I mean, right now there's 87 MPO players
registered.
Showing on in the last week, I believe 30 players have dropped.
Okay.
I believe that was the last count, or 27, something along those lines. Right now, your highest rated player in the world, Manabu, is playing, but Manabu just finished 10th from the bottom at DGLO. And that could just be him getting into town, not necessarily being acclimated to the time zones. We saw the same thing with Kristen Tatar the first time she came over. It's been a while since Manabu has been over. He is, well, it says he's a 1056 rated player, the highest in the world.
He is.
I think it's a little, there's a little bit of numbers action going on there. He is a top player in the world, but I wouldn't.
Maybe not quite that top.
I wouldn't necessarily call him the top player in the world.
Well, and you got to think his rating is going to take a significant
plummet.
If he continues to play here for a few events between the Worlds and here, I think his rating will mellow out. Maybe at one point this weekend, Nate Sexton and I looked at Manabu's. We drilled down a little bit. He had 3 consecutive rounds at an event, all 3 rounds in one event that were all, I think, 1087. Like, which is just unique that you see, first of all, the same score applied to the same 3 rounds. And again, Johnny nor I are math whizzes or experts, and we don't have the secret code for all the rating system. And I've always said it's the best thing that we've currently got. If you think it sucks or you hate it and you disregard it and it's not worth it, then I invite you to go create your own. I think it's the best thing that we've got right now until somebody somehow magically makes something
See my
better.
website, Disc Golf Player Rankings better than ratings.com.
Yep. /rating. By all means. Does this maybe expose a weird scenario, or I don't even know if anomaly is the right word. I mean, it's all still math. But I think this is kind of bringing to light that things can get a little wonky. And that Manabu, on top of it, probably just truly not playing his best golf either. But he shot 1020, 984, and 974, and 990 throughout the weekend, putting him closer probably to about a 990-ish or so rating overall.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is just guessing. Manabu to me feels like a 1025 rated player. Just a little bit that I've seen, a little bit that you can kind of guess based on where he's finishing. I think, like you said, you'll see some of that level out.
All right. Johnny is all right.
Excuse me. Sorry about that little sneeze fit there.
We're
going to talk about the European Disc Golf Championship 2023 powered by Prodigy Disc. This is over in Tallinn, Estonia. Over on the MPO side, Dennis Augustusson wins by 10 strokes over Jesse Nieminen, Juna Heinonen, Tomas Haitanen, and Lori Latinen. That's a lot of N's. Nieminen, Heinonen, Yutinen,
and Albert Tom.
Yeah, but he doesn't have an N. He should be called
No,
Tominen.
but he did tie for 5th.
Should be called Tominen. And Albert Tom. So, congratulations, Dennis, who is not necessarily one of the better known players. I know,
to us in the States.
To us in the States. He hasn't been the guy that's on tour because we've seen Jesse, we've seen Maury Vielman, Vino. Those are the Linus Carlson, Jakub. We've seen a lot of those players. You haven't necessarily heard of Dennis. So I'm sure it's not Dennis. It's probably like Deny or something. It's probably something way fancier sounding. I'm just going to call him Denny. Way to go, Denny. Yeah, so congratulations, Denny.
That's what Sexton kept calling him before I announced his name. I'm like, I'm gonna call him Denny. Stop doing that. Oh, maybe that's what he does.
Maybe he goes by Denny. I don't know.
I would doubt it, but maybe.
We'll see.
We're gonna Americanize his name for him.
Way to go, Denny. That is your MPO side. Walking over to the FPO side, Kristen Tatar wins by 3 strokes, and she shot a +8, which I believe was like an 880 or 890 rated round. Her final round, because she had I believe it was a 16 stroke lead going into that, and and Silva made up 13 strokes on that final round. Now, there are a lot of people were asking about if it was an injury or whatnot. She had said that she woke up and she wasn't feeling well, but I don't believe this is a lingering issue. It sounds like with a little bit of rest, everything should be okay. By now, she is on her way over to here for Worlds, along with a lot of the other Europeans. But ultimately, Kristen Tatar wins. You could see that she was very emotional over this win. There are a lot of the clips I saw. I think the combination of not playing well that final round and just the weight of this particular event for her particularly was a lot. So she was doing an interview and her daughter comes running up and gives her a hug. She was crying. I mean, you don't see that a ton from Kristen Tatar, that true showing of a lot of emotion. She's usually pretty level with the exception of a few of the really big events like your Worlds or your Champions Cup, things like that. Like we said, Silva Saarinen takes second place. Evelina Salonen in third place. Heidi Laine in fourth place. Anna Blumroos in fifth place. Sixth place, Anneli Tugas-Manist. Somebody's really good at saying that, and I heard them say it.
I think Mo is pretty good at it.
Was it Mo that was saying that? All right, and that's your top six right there. I'm not going to go down any further. Come on,
No,
it's going to crush me.
Yep.
I should have stopped at 5 in general, but I went to 6 for some reason. But there's your top 5. Kristen Tatar once again coming in. Hopefully she's healthy, she's fine. She gets whatever she had, whatever issues. Maybe it was sickness, maybe it was just a bad day. Sometimes people are allowed to have bad days.
Yeah, we're just not used to seeing them from her.
Correct. And thankfully she had built up such a large lead the first few rounds.
Yeah,
that she was able to just kind of just play poorly to win.
Yeah, I mean, she only, when it was all said and done, only had 3 pars during that final round, and really struggled, including a stretch that I don't know if we'll ever see her duplicate.
Bogey, double, bogey.
Yeah, like just. So a couple quick notes to that. Just, I'm sure you guys saw it, but the 1054 is the 5th highest rated round of all time by any female competitor. So congratulations to her there on a 1054 rated round. I don't think anybody's all too surprised when you hear that. Like, oh yeah, Kristen shot a 1054 rated round. The first 3 rounds then, of course, with that assist, she averaged 1017 golf. That was because before the 1054 rated round, she had a 1003 rated round, and then she had a 995 rated round. So,
well, this is just Kristen Tatar. She knew she was going to shoot a bad round, and this is her trying to tank her rating so that it doesn't count.
Yeah, well, so and exactly to that point, for what it's worth, for any of the people doing some of the math out there, and again, we can't promise on all of it, that final round won't even count against her.
Correct. I heard that will not go. Well,
I don't believe that it will, because there's no way.
I think it depends on. I doubt it will, but I think it depends on the next couple rounds before the ratings update. If she shoots a couple 950 rated rounds, that could lower her rating enough where that would then bring it into the perspective.
I'd bet it doesn't.
But I'm with you. I don't think it will, but I know I've heard a lot of people being like, "Oh, this one won't count, no matter what." I wouldn't put.
No, because there's something there. Part of the class that
it's like a standard deviation.
Exactly,
and
willfully skip standard deviations. Something to do with that and some math. I'm sure if we holler out for Chuck Kennedy, Chuck Kennedy.
No, you said it 3 times.
Chuck, is there any chance it counts? Or if she averages the next 9 rounds,
the question is,
9-10 golf?
Is there any chance it doesn't count?
Yes, I don't think that.
It's been a while since we've called on the Kennedy.
Yes, I don't think that it will count. Is my guess.
I don't think it will,
because it is so far below her average golf. It's not like she occasionally throws in a bunch of 892 or 890 rated rounds.
It says 2.5 standard deviations or 100 ratings points. Is what Ryan Pilcher is saying.
Oh. Anyway, at the end of the day, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it either way. Congratulations to Kristen, as others pointed out as well. Yes, the president of Estonia had handed her the trophy at one point, and just the pressures and the excitement, and how much pride that we see from all of our international competitors in every one of their countries, understandably. And then for Kristen to be the reigning world champion, to be the best player in the world, and then to have this opportunity to represent Estonia, to play the championships in Estonia. Like, it's just truly like a movie should have been made about it. And with the fairy tale ending of her still. And you want to talk about some drama too, if you are making that movie, as she's like slipping into those double bogeys and
that's not how I would write the movie. Usually I would write that as like the first round, and then she comes back to get those. But if it just feels, if you're writing a movie, that feels like a downer last section of the movie. Or I would have made it so close that last birdie would have counted.
Like, would have mattered.
Would have mattered. I mean, if you're going to write the story, Terry.
What is Glenn throwing out there? I see $1,000 bet between Terry and JVD. What about whether rating it counting or not?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't take that bet because I don't think it's going to count. Yeah, I'm just saying, if she were to shoot a bunch of bad rounds, that could maybe bring it in. But
again, those are maths.
That's math. Yeah.
And most importantly, as I'll repeat it. We're not gonna. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. And we're students of the Appleton education system. Math. I don't know if I would trust it.
I don't know. I think math is political, but that's for another podcast on another day. God, I did see something stupid on that recently. All right, so congrats to them, FPO, MPO, your champions. What a story! What a weekend over there. Obviously, a lot of people asking in the early goings of the weekend is, hey, why isn't Kristen here? She's won here before, so on and so forth. She has discussed her calendar at length about not only wanting to be at this event, but then just making sure that she's back here by the Worlds. And interestingly enough, yeah, you did not see her and Silver registered for the doubles, which is something that I've seen them do in the past. Maybe it just, well, yeah, now it does say they are. Never mind. Did we miss? We obviously missed that earlier.
Well, we were just going through it before the
show. Right before the show started, we just quickly ran down the doubles list and
doing the prep work for the show, as we always do.
Oh yeah, duh, because I even said somebody's name. I'm such an
idiot.
Yeah,
you did say that.
So
because,
yes,
is it that way on yours too, or just mine?
It is that way on mine.
Okay.
So Silver and Kristen are currently signed up to play in the doubles. Yeah, her 1,011 rating, or I'm sorry, his 1,011 rating and her 994 rating.
Now, are they the two closest rated players? Because I think we saw the two, you and I were saying the two furthest away look to be Eagle and Ratana. So are they the two closest rated players? Stat Mando, we need you, because again, the Appleton's math.
I can't imagine two other teams. Obviously, you're talking about the best in the world, and you're talking about Silver, who's also very good. And by my quick math, I'm not seeing two, not in terms of closest. I mean, like, when you're looking at overall, you see someone like Missy Gannon and Gannon Burr.
Oh, no, they're
jump off in terms of,
if you want to take
combined,
an average or a combined, that's one thing.
You're saying
I'm talking the actual closest.
Yeah, there's no way.
That the FPO is that close to the MPO.
No, that's not even possible. You're not going to see it.
You could, but
no, you're not. Not closer than that. They're only 15 rating points apart. Is that, what is it? What did I say? 994 to 17. And yeah, that's incredible. All right. I think, is there anything else we need to cover? The other tournaments took place this weekend.
No, those.
I can't say I paid attention to literally any other tournament that happened. NADGT Junior Championships. There was the Estonian Championships. I'm sorry, if you go back. The Estonian Championships had a junior division where they were lighting it up. We did briefly take a look at that this weekend. If it's in there.
That's the Canadian amateur ones.
I mean, there was some ridiculous.
Yeah, they're good. Those kids are good. I don't like them because they're good and they're kids.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah. I didn't like Cole Redallen either.
Because they're good when they're 13 and better than you'll ever be?
Yeah, they're better at 13 than you and I will ever be.
Okay. The Junior European Disc Golf Championships. Oh,
look at all the red on his scorecard, Mr. Winner. Oh, such a jerk. That kid's probably 12.
Probably. Some pretty impressive golf for sure out there. So congratulations, Oni Rusinen?
Yeah, we've seen Uni.
Have we?
Yeah,
I have not personally.
No, I think he was the one that performed really well at over at the Beast.
Okay. I wasn't part of that event, so that's why I was lost.
Well, you didn't watch.
And then,
we have seen him.
He's
like 15, 16 maybe now?
Letomaki went on to win, it looks like, on the junior girls side.
Yeah, the only other event we had was like the Idaho State Championships, which was an A tier. Winning this one was Dallin Blanchard. He's the big local pro in that particular area. Taking second was Robert Carlson, tied with Justin Bilodeau, tied with Ben Ditton, tied with Skylar Manti. Those are your top in the MPO. And the FPO, Andrea Kamak wins this one. And second place, Ashley Hall. Sorry, Ashley. Third place was Charlotte Christensen. So congratulations. Oh, got to mention it because he's there. MP40, Shasta wins that one.
Yeah.
$1,300. Way to go, Shasta. Friend of the show.
The junior that, assuming everything's marked correctly, which I believe it to be, the junior that won not only was rated 10-10 coming in, shot an average 10-34 golf for the weekend.
Click on his history. I believe it. Like I said, I believe it was the. I don't think it was the Sula event. I think it was
European Open. Took 50th.
So maybe he had a bad.
Which is just a few strokes out of cash.
Yeah, but I think he was doing much better and maybe shot some poor final rounds because we've literally talked about him. I'm fairly certain of it.
Yeah, he had the second hottest round to open.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he was on the lead card then.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Well, okay. Oh, good. I am not going elderly.
I didn't think you were stupid or crazy.
Yeah, you did.
I did not.
You did probably. I mean, I don't blame you, but I'm saying you probably did. All right. Those are the events that have happened. We were talking about the Jim Palmieri, and it's just not going to get turnout. I made an executive decision on Skip Ace today. We're pulling the event from the slate of events because I think looking at this, there are still players that are going to even withdraw from this list. Right now, there's 87 MPO. I wouldn't be shocked to see 4 or 5 more drop from the top 40, top 30. I think it's just probably best that for Skip Ace that we not have this one. And I still have to make a decision on the Discmania one after Worlds. How many players are going to go to that? How many players are going to withdraw from that after Worlds? I don't know. They might be because they're there and going to Canada. There might be more of a vacation for them. I'll probably leave that one in. But this Jim Palmieri event is kind of getting the KC Wide Open treatment, or what used to be the DGLO treatment, where it was scheduled right before the players went over to Europe. And so you'd see a lot of players miss. I have no problem with this silver event being the weekend before Worlds. You just have to have the right, as a fan, you have to have the right expectations.
Yeah.
You have to realize, yes, it might feel that way to people from Rochester that they are getting the short end of the stick with the players that are withdrawing. But you had to see it coming. Yeah, it sucks, but you have to.
I can't say this enough. I know Tony Anzana, who's an incredible human. I've known him, I think we may have met at the 97 AM Worlds in Wisconsin. Yeah. I was a teen. Anyway, so
was he probably.
98 World, sorry, in Wisconsin. So
still bitter about that, huh? 97, 98. Yeah, bring that one up to Jenkins. We'll see how that goes.
So clearly it's just a byproduct of the schedule. And somebody had posted on my wall today saying, hey, so I'm not going to see you this weekend. And, leading into it, and a lot of the other top dogs aren't going to be there. No, there's a lot of players who just simply aren't going to be there. And one of the reasons I just named, some of our top players, MPO and FPO, really enjoy playing in the mixed doubles. That takes place on Saturday at Smuggler's Notch. That's one component. A second component, even if mixed doubles wasn't going on, this is just one of those few opportunities that they can really rest up before arguably going after their biggest event of their life, the biggest title of their life. I like you just said, I don't disagree with the fact that it's happening. And I feel bad for anyone that is going to be disappointed by players that won't be there, but this is going to forever be a challenge when you're hosting an event directly before a major specifically, or some of our larger international events, majors or otherwise, or when you're coming right back from one, this is always going to be the issue. I don't know what the scheduling was like. We all know it makes sense where both of these events are. The one's taking place in New York, just shy of Smuggler's Notch, so to speak. A few days before Smuggler's Notch, so you're looking at a very short drive. And then PEI, clearly we don't get any closer to Canada than when we're at Smuggler's Notch. Mm-hmm. So logistically, the events make perfect sense to be having them, but there's just a ton of players who now are afforded I don't want to call it a luxury, but they're afforded the time and the capabilities to not have to play in those events. And if you're putting in a bid, yeah, you may only get offered a particular weekend, or there's only one that truly works. And so I'm not suggesting people don't have them, clearly, but yeah, it's disappointing for fans, but yet it's so completely A, foreseeable, and B, understandable.
So here's the question. and it involves Worlds. And John Madalone on the board kind of brings up what I was actually thinking about. He says, why does Worlds get moved throughout the season so much? Which it hasn't recently. It's been in the fall the last few years, and it will be in the fall next year, I believe. The course is better in the fall. Baloney. The pros aren't. He says the pros aren't by there during the season. Make it consistently the same time every year. So he's looking for more consistency. That's my question to you. We have seen Worlds, I mean, when we were coming up, it was almost always in July, late July or August.
Yeah, usually August specifically. Pro Worlds was almost always like the first into the second weekend of August. Almost always. Almost.
Do you think there is room, with the way now we kind of have an established tour, to have a Worlds that is earlier in the season? June, late June, early July. Like, is there an advantage? Because right now we're seeing the end of the season, and I understand it's weird. A lot of people think it's weird, hey, have your biggest event middle of the season. Maybe it has a letdown feeling after the event. But we're seeing players now who are struggling with injuries at the end of the season. Is that part of it? Cool. Worlds is not only just the best player, but it should be the best conditioned player. Whereas maybe holding it in late June, because we've already got Champions Cup, which is in, is that in May?
Champions Cup is April.
April. Okay, April or May. So it's been in April. I mean, having one 2 months later doesn't seem crazy to me. June or July, spread them out, as opposed to, cool, guess what? We've got Worlds and USDGC now within a month of each other.
Yeah, within roughly 30 days.
Yeah, so, and on top, like I said, with the established tour, moving it to where, just play pretend. I'm gonna make everyone mad here. Let's say Emporia, Kansas gets it. Oh, I know. A place it's never been. Would that make sense to have it in June when the tour is coming through there? Or even if you didn't pick, pick Nebraska. It's going to Nebraska, but the tour is around there in the middle of the season. Would it make more sense? I would love to get some pros' opinions on when they feel Worlds for them would be best. Because holding it in the Midwest, or even if you had it in California, which a lot of people are fighting for, or asking for. I don't say they're fighting for it because I haven't seen any of the bids come in California. But people are asking for a West Coast Worlds. California, Oregon, putting that in June. There are times I could see Worlds in June or July as opposed to having it in August. Because when we were coming up, USDGC was October. So August, you had pretty much all of August and then all of September and some of October. That felt like a good amount of time between your majors. 30 days for that, and then you add the Pro Tour finale on it, which feels like a major, even though it's not. It just feels like we're compressing the end of the season. I would personally love to see it spread out a little bit more, but that's just, again, that's an ideal situation for me. I don't necessarily think there's a right or wrong, because with the way the tour is, as we know, Worlds can go anywhere. Worlds could be in Europe in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
I hope it will be.
I think when you host it somewhere that's not within the time frame of the tour, the large blowback will be, well, but we were in that section of the tour, 2 months ago, and now we got to go all the way back. I'll just we'll make up an example and say July or August, but it's going to be held in California. Like I said, but we were there in May, and now we got to go all the way back there for it. And that is, I feel like, the largest response that you would get. And people may love the idea of playing in California, and they're okay with whatever date, but when they have to go back and traverse back across the country, because our tour is set up in such a fashion right now that for the most part, logistically, it's about as efficient as it can get right now. So as soon as you disrupt that efficiency, the number one internet voice will be complaining about how it just doesn't make sense logistically. So I'm just saying those are some of the balls that need to be juggled when we're having this argument. Now, I'm not in disagreement with you about the idea of having a little more separation between the Pro Worlds and the USDGC. Pro Worlds for you and I for 15 or 18 or 20 years almost was exclusively in August, sometime in August, almost.
And it's funny.
I'd have to go get the exact date.
Yeah, it's funny because I think like, oh man, early August could be balls hot. Guess what? It's going to be 105 degrees here in Milwaukee tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we are in the late August temperatures. So I don't think
Milwaukee,
it matters.
Of all places. Yeah, exactly. So now I will say the one time there was I felt like a major disruption in the norm was from 2017 to 2018. That was when we had Worlds in Augusta in June, late June. Wysocki wins. We were out at Fort Gordon.
Yes.
We were at the fort, and we were at the IDGC. It was late June of 2017. Wysocki held one of the longest titles ever because the Worlds wasn't until the following year, the latest it had ever been.
Correct.
Which was at Smugs, Labor Day weekend. So he had it from June all the way the following year into September, which is just, I think, kind of a funny side note. I'm going to guess, without having Statmando help me, that has to be the longest, because I felt like that was the earliest I'd seen Worlds in 20 years.
The longest between Worlds.
Yes, and then the next year was the latest I'd ever seen Worlds from the 25 years I've been around. Those were what I experienced. Yeah, and then you go back to this whole other argument that plenty of people will rightfully chime in with and say, well, why isn't Worlds more cumulative? Why aren't we building up to it? Why is it in the middle of the season? That argument has existed for quite a few years as well. Some people feel like it should be the pinnacle, the crowning moment of our year, as opposed to it happening sometimes arbitrarily in July or August or September. And it's, 1 week out of the year that gets picked just to crown a world champ.
Like, it feels like if you could pick a schedule, you would not put USDGC at the end of the season. You would put that in your August. I'm not that anyone wants to be in August in Georgia or South Carolina or any of those muggy places, but we've been there, we've done that. But it feels like that's what would make the most sense. You have Worlds at the end of the season, at the time frame USDGC is as a culmination. But again, if you want players at their peak, is it the end of the season?
Not really.
No, because again, they're worn out. They've played so much. Many of them are starting to get injured or just tired. I would think that July they should be at their peak playing capacity. They've had a few months to get back in the swing of the tour. Everybody's doing their thing, and then you play Worlds if you want the best physical competition. I don't know if that's what you want though. I don't know. I don't think there is a right answer.
Yeah, and Worlds has been hosted in the middle of the summer. You have kids that have had off. You have people that can take summer vacations. You have so much of your volunteer
It's so
base.
different now though.
And that's what I mean. Things have obviously evolved. I mean, the likes of Jay and Des Redding used to teach for 9 months and then have a summer off, and that's when they'd play, most of their golf. There's people that are still doing that to some degree to this day. Clearly, they're not, as on the tour as others. But even some of our youngest students, look how young our actual players are getting. When you have your Candace Burge, who's an
Carter
anomaly,
Aarons,
your Carter Aarons, your Cole Rodolins, your Gannon Burrs. They're
out of school now, but
I'm just saying,
but they weren't
2 years ago. School was very much a concern. So having Worlds in the summer made a lot of logistical sense for a lot of reasons.
When it was more of a gathering of players,
correct.
And who were fighting to lose to Kenny. That was back in the day. But you're right. When you and I could just sign up and play Worlds, like, oh, guess what? I'm going to sign up and play the World Championships, and everyone's like, what kind of
most of the time, I did get an invite every time.
Shut up. What kind of standards do they have if they're just letting anyone play? No, that's not the case. You and I do not qualify. We can't get in. It's just not the way it works anymore. And so with that comes changes that which is, again, one of the reasons I think I would feel less of an issue if, let's just say, they kept mid-August, but they did have it out in California, make all the pros travel out there. You're a professional athlete now.
Yeah.
You fly where the Worlds is. If they have the best setup, you do it You can complain all you want about it, but you're gonna be there.
Yeah, Worlds was in August in Santa Cruz in 2011. There's no reason it couldn't be there again. Again, I'm just thinking about the logistical.
It's all pre-pro tour though. Like before there was a real tour. Now these players have a specific path they're following. So to go outside of that, and again, I would not feel much sympathy if they complained that the World Championships was outside of their touring line. It would be nicer if it was in it, around it, but if it weren't,
well, coincidentally, I feel like I looked it up this weekend. Did they name the actual time frame for Worlds next year
in Virginia?
I know it's taking place there, but the question is, did the actual?
I don't know if they did. I imagine it probably has to be sometime around the same time. If it's in Virginia, you're going to want it around MVP Open. You're going to want it around what's going to be Smugs. I would guess they'll either, if I had to take a random guess, second to last week in August or
early September
or first week of September.
I feel like I narrowed it down to that, but don't quote me on that.
I will be.
If you want an unofficial,
I will be quoting
possibly wrong quote, then take Johnny's, but mine.
That's just me with a Appleton educated guess. I feel bad. Appleton has a really good public school system.
I don't know.
But anyway,
under the bus
it's more fun.
Anyway, it's all valid. I mean, then it continues to go back to local organizing committees. There's places and events like the USDGC, and you can lean into kind of a stock answer and just say tradition, but also there's some venues and some considerations that don't have a lot of wiggle room or potentially any wiggle room. And so, when you look at USDGC being at Winthrop now for the last 24 years, 24 years, this is 25th, obviously there's been a built-in routine and or relationship with Winthrop University, being that it's obviously a university and they have other things to consider. Those are all bigger fights to have that other people can have, and you just tell me where the event is and who I need to interview and I'll show up. I will say, and my last point on this is, I do agree, obviously, that we should have an international Worlds. Everyone's looking forward to it. I think the time will come, and I think there's a lot of chatter out there about how Finland put in a bid, and I may or may not have said this before. Just because someone put in a bid doesn't mean the bid checked all the boxes and met or exceeded all expectations. And what's also possible, 2 bids can get submitted. One can be good and one could be better. Just keep all of that in mind. I feel like the only rhetoric that we hear online is, there was a bid put in by Finland, we're not going there, F everybody involved. And it's like, it's not that simple.
I think there's more.
That's what I will say to it. It's just not that simple. There's so many moving parts to it. And I'm not going to claim I know all of them by any means. No. But it's not that simple. And I just feel like that is 98% of the response that comes in is, well, we're not going to Finland, but they put in a bid. Why the F aren't we going there? And there's a lot of reasons. Like, quite frankly, there's a lot of reasons. And it's not as easy as people make it out to be. I do. With all that being said, I think if we have an international Worlds outside of the continental U.S., Finland is the front runner, and I wouldn't be surprised if we are there in the next couple of years.
I want to go to Siberia.
I just don't think we're just not going to be there next year. What does no mean? Some just not now. That's probably one way to look at it. I bet you we will see a Worlds in Finland within the next 5 years. Put that on your calendar. Yeah. We'll see a Worlds there.
Okay, Terry.
So, all right. Enough on that for now. Let's go to another quick side note that's kind of tangent to the Great Lakes Open. I don't know if it was on Reddit. I eventually saw it on Facebook, and I think it's just a valid conversation throughout. Someone made a post who essentially said called out, they tagged the Pro Tour and maybe the PDGA, saying, thanks a lot. You've trashed our local courses. Now I'm here to help pick it back up. I'm a local, and you've come to town. You've trashed it. Why didn't you pick up all the trash? You're leaving us with this ginormous mess. And there was a couple of pictures out at Kensington's course, at the toboggan course, what seemingly looked like the parking lot area with garbage. Now, was that at 7 p.m. on Sunday night once every car had left? Was that 2 p.m. today on Tuesday? I don't know. I think we all are in agreement here that no matter who you are and attached to any entity or not, that littering and leaving a mess at any facility is never a good idea.
I once saw Terry Miller pick up a piece of garbage someone threw out their window, run up to the car and say, "Oh, hey, you dropped this," and you threw it back in their window.
Yeah, so
so Terry hates litterers.
Yeah, is it unique to disc golf? Is it unique to concerts, festivals, No, and none of that is of course dismissing it or encouraging said behavior. I'm not making excuses for anyone, and in fact, I'm staunchly opposed, obviously, to anyone that didn't dispose of garbage properly. The question that arises, though, is where is that fine line of?
It's tough because as someone. Yeah, when someone says that I've saw overflowing trash cans in the park at DGLO. Yeah, but I mean they're overflowing because they were full. What do you do? I mean, do you just hold on to your trash? Maybe that'd be a great plan. Taking your car, bring it with you. But some people aren't going to do that. They're just going to try to shove it further down in the can, and if not, set it next to the can. And I get it. I don't know what the responsibility of the Pro Tour is, legal, not just legally, but contractually and morally, for something like this. I mean, they're tearing down Sunday night and getting everything out, trying to head out Monday morning probably. Is that part of the crew who volunteers? I don't know all those details.
And that's my whole point.
Yeah,
is I think this brings up valid questions. Obviously, the Discraft, Grip 6, Ledgestone, Pro Tour, none of those, partners of the event are excited about the idea of something not being left in a clean, state of mind or whatever, a clean actual physical state out there. No one's encouraging that. No one's advocating for yeah, man, let's trash this place when we leave. We don't care. No one's thinking that. Where do...
And I think DGLO is a little difficult because I don't know exactly the volunteer base. I know Nate Heinold is the TD, but is his crew mostly from Illinois? Are they all leaving Sunday night? Are they, because ultimately you probably want this to be one of those things all right, do we have spotters for Thursday? Do we have spotters for Friday? Do we have, concession for Sunday? Oh, do we have cleanup for Sunday night or Monday morning, whatever that may be? Or is that an agreement you make with the Parks Department? Hey, Parks Department, we know we're going to come in. We need you to make sure you're cleaning out the trash regularly. Is that a fall down on their side? Again, there are so many things there are so many people it could fall on. And I don't know where that is for this particular event. Like you said, you saw pictures. I didn't necessarily see the pictures, but I can imagine.
And I want to be clear. I'm not looking to blame this person or that person or pass the buck or make excuses. No, I'm not doing any of that. I'm genuinely raising the question of just knowing that when this is all part of the new part of the new
it's the new norm.
It's the new norm of when you're now bringing, to be honest, when we used to run big tournaments, it was 3 people stuffed enough stuff into one garbage bag, and you broke down Tournament Central, and you threw the actual Tournament Central, not the show. You broke down Tournament Central, and you left, and that's all cleanup that was required. Now, yes, you're talking about thousands of people coming on property that have paid ticket prices, which gives them no excuse to litter or to leave a mess. But you're just talking a whole different scenario, and I think it poses a very valid question moving forward about making sure that's within the agreement for the Pro Tour, for the local organizing committee, for the Parks Department. It's just an understanding of, hey, because for all we know, some local clubs are like, you know what? this is massive. We know it's going to be a huge undertaking. There's probably going to be a ton of cleanup come Monday, and we're accepting all that responsibility, and we're good with it. You know, we got a Monday cleanup crew coming out here. Some probably have made that arrangement, and then some may not have thought of that arrangement. And you know, so anyway, it's a very legitimate conversation to be had moving forward, because like you said, it's part of a new norm. And just know that there's no one that, like, of course thinks like, hey, yeah, this is trashed. That's pretty cool. Let's leave town right away. That's also not being,
of course,
not being conveyed.
Nobody's saying.
But it could be frustrating if you're a local and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't hear of a cleanup day, but now I'm out here on Monday afternoon and there's stuff everywhere.
Because you want to play your local league or whatever it is, and there's
like,
just
oh,
trash.
This is trash.
There's
I have to pick
trash
this up.
overflowing.
Whoever posted it said that. Like, why am I here to clean up the mess as a local? Thanks a lot for leaving it messy. Again, I can't speak to what the arrangements are, but maybe this does shed some light on the fact that that arrangement or those considerations should be forthright and forthcoming and spelled out. And the expectations should be discussed ahead of time. That's my PSA.
Pro Tour needs to hire a trash man.
A guy on there said, hey, I run a company that does this. I'd love to get involved.
Yeah.
So maybe there's yet another, something else that could get brought to it. Partnership, I think is the word I was looking for.
There's a lot of partnerships.
The other conversation that took place on the board, and I hate to entirely speculate.
Oh, speculation.
I have heard a few different stories, but I think the long and short of it was that, and I'm sure the board, because it sounds like maybe some people were physically standing there, of course, which I was not.
The Luke Humphreys situation?
Yeah, it sounded as if Luke Humphreys, here's one of the versions that I heard. And I'm not putting this out there as fact, but here's what I had heard from at least one person, maybe two, is that Luke Humphreys had arrived to his scheduled tee time after the scheduled tee time had elapsed. I'm just going to make up numbers and say he was scheduled for 12:30 and he shows up at 12:33. I'm just going to make up some rough numbers here. And however, it sounded as if that might have been right as the FPO competitors were closing out on 18. And with that hubbub, hoopla, excitement, jubilation, celebration, the starter had more or less held the group up and said, we're going to wait for that to get done, and then we're going to tee off. Again, I'm hearing this second or third hand. Luke Humphreys was second to tee, so the first person had teed, then Luke had teed, the other two guys teed, and they went about their merry way. They, at some point, got down to, it was relayed that Luke had showed up late to his tee time, in which I think he admitted to doing so, but he had showed up late to what was his scheduled tee time. And again, I hope anyone can correct if I get off track here. Well, so he plays out the hole, and at that point, whether it was a Marshall or maybe Nate Heinold is what the board is saying, had showed up and said, hey, you were late to your tee time, you get par +4. And then per what was just posted on our wall, it sounded as if there was a big conversation about that. The group, is my understanding, did not agree with that, nor did Luke, and essentially had appealed the decision, and it didn't go in his favor. And then later on, there was a continued discussion about it, and then at some point way later after that, the penalty had fallen off. It sounds like some PDGA officials were involved.
Okay.
Tournament staff was involved, so on and so forth. Okay, Zach is corroborating. Is that the phrase?
Collaborating?
Corroborating my story. This is correct.
Wait, what? Say that word again.
Corroborating. It's like when your stories match up, right? Don't look at me like I'm as stupid as I think I am now.
Corroborating?
Corroborating. Corroborate. Confirm or give support to a statement. Like to
corroborate.
Corroborate. Corroborate. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Wow. I was close.
You like mix collaborate and corroborate.
There we go.
Yeah, okay.
That's why I usually refrain from saying said phrase.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, it's good to learn, Terry. We're here to learn.
Corroborating. It's a word. Yes. Not when I mispronounce it. Anyway.
Never make fun of somebody for mispronouncing a word because they probably have never said it, but they did read it.
That's possible. So. I don't think I've ever read it either. I don't know if I've ever tried to say it. I just hear it. But I'm deaf in one ear, so maybe this is the problem.
R's were in one ear, everything else was in the other.
So anyway, so Zach is so far agreeing with what I'm saying. And at some point, the penalty, the par plus 4, had fallen off, and I believe he was given his actual
score.
Shot score. What an interesting scenario, right? And arguably, is this the greatest stroke of crazy
good luck for Luke?
Timing for Luke?
Because
it sounds like it.
Because if someone throws and someone's not there, and it just happens to be the timing that they're closing out, can the group say, "Oh, we're going to wait anyway. We're going to wait for them to finish up," or the announcer says, "Hey, we're going to hold up everybody while they finish up." And if Luke's not there, yeah, it seems like it's awfully fortunate for Luke.
Yeah, and I don't. My understanding was that he held up everyone. Luke was second to tee, so before anyone teed, he had made the decision. I believe the starter had made the decision to say, hey, we're going to hold off. Which, by the way, as a quick side note, I love. And I know the basket's in a new place this year for both, MPO doesn't matter. For the FPO basket. The FPO basket, or the only basket on 18, used to be literally like 200 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, you could throw a putter from that tee into the basket of 18. And I will say this about every event on the planet. If your final hole is anywhere near the starter or any other major distraction, please have everyone, like, STFU, as they'd say, like, close it down. Like, they shouldn't have had a starter be calling off any names. And I'm not picking on the starter.
Sure.
I'm just saying, in general, if your tee area is close enough to where it could disrupt the final putt of the tournament, I really dislike that. But that's a side note. They're much farther away now, which helps, but still. So anyway, if I've got that right, Zach, I guess the question to the world then is, like, is that dumb luck? Is that the best luck ever for Luke?
Yes. Because Luke didn't know it was going to be delayed. Assumingly, Luke didn't know it was going to be delayed. If the women were there, it's just dumb luck. He got lucky. He probably should have taken par plus 4, but because they held up the entire card, it gave him a chance to
arrive on time, so to speak.
Arrive
or be there.
Arrive when appropriate. I won't say on time, but I'll say arrive when appropriate. Yeah, I got no problem with that. It's good luck. Clean living, as they say.
I'm just trying to see if there was any other. Allegedly, Luke asked Nate to show him the rule. Nate refused, just said he knew it. Score pulled it up on their phone and showed it to Luke, who pointed out the wording was not what Nate had said. I'm guessing, okay, so it sounds like Nate was involved. So Nate had maybe said, "Oh, no, you missed your tee time." And then I don't have it in front of me, but I'm pretty sure the rules say something to the effect of, once it's your turn to throw, you have 30 seconds to throw. And the card hadn't started, so it couldn't have technically been Luke's turn to throw.
Depends how you look at it.
But I mean, if the first guy teed off, Luke can't tee off in front of him.
No, but the first guy teed off, and if Luke was second, and they wait and they said, "Hey, Luke, where are you, Luke? Luke's not here," and they wait their 30 seconds, and then you see the women come up. If
it was that scenario, then that's a different argument.
And then the women come up and they say, "Oh no, we're going to hold up. We're going to hold the group up. The next person to tee is going to be the third person." Then Luke shows up and he's like, "Well, no, because the third person hasn't thrown yet, so I can throw." That's a whole different. That's again very fortunate timing. It feels like for Luke that hit, because I could see it going Nate's way. I could see it going the other way. It all depends on what was said. It's like calling a provisional. You don't call that provisional and you take that extra shot. Welcome to Strokeville. Yeah. You have to say the word provisional. If no one on that tee said, "Hey Luke, you're up," and Luke isn't there, or if right after the first person throws, the group decides, "Hey, we're going to wait," or the person says they're going to wait, even if Luke's not there, that's the benefit of the doubt to Luke. Not the rule that we always use, but just in general. It's an interesting scenario that I doubt we'll ever see again.
The timing, because if Luke was in the tee time that was 10 minutes earlier, and they're not waiting, no one's waiting for the FPOs to close out on 18. Yeah, once that 30 seconds has elapsed, then you've missed your tee time and you get par +4 for the hole. But it seems as if I understand the scenario correctly, it seems as if it was just the craziest stroke of luck timing ever for Luke to be late in a scenario where the tee time, the entire group got held up from teeing off by just a few minutes. Like,
good for Luke.
What Avery Jenkins wouldn't give for that a few years ago at USDGC.
Oh God, yeah.
Avery Jenkins was supposed to get to his tee time at the USDGC. Honestly, I if I recall, just pretty much kind of lost track of time, stopped and talked to this person, talked to that person, was warming up, wasn't seemingly in a hurry to get there. And next thing you know, you get up to T1 and you're already, 2 or 3 minutes late. If your 30-second timing had passed, you're getting par +4 for that. So at any rate, that's if that's wildly egregious or outside of what happened, of course, I'd love to know. I want to make sure I'm not trying to make up stories. I think I'm just kind of relaying what a few were talking about within the chat as how it went down. But it sounds like a good stroke of luck for Luke to be a little late in a scenario where the FPOT had also, or even if Luke just lost track of time, got caught up signing autographs, had a hard time parking, like those are all things, unfortunately, there's not a lot of room to give. Correct, and as we famously know with Sarah Holcomb in the 2015 PDGA Worlds, caught as when we were playing 2 rounds a day. Maybe they hadn't, but either way, she was on her way to the course, got in a terrible car accident, and the women, as Holcomb was leading Worlds, the women were trying to delay the start of the overall tournament. Those weren't tee times, that was shotgun. And the women's division, by and large, was trying to delay the start of the tournament. And I was standing right there with them at the Deer Lakes course. And they're like, no, we want to wait. This isn't fair. We don't want to start.
Because she was the final card to tee off, so it's like they weren't holding anyone up. They weren't doing...
No.
Correct. No, I know. That's what I'm saying. They were the final card to tee, right?
No. It was shotgun. Everybody was on the course.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
It
was 2 rounds shotgun, yes.
They wanted to delay the entire start. Most of the women were saying, no. Like, let's just say 1:15 was the time. They're like, no. We 1:20, 1:30. Like, they were doing everything they could, some of the women, to delay that start.
That's right.
And, Sarah ended up showing up, 3 holes late, 3 or 4 holes late, and was penalized for those 4 holes she missed. It was wild very unfortunate. And she went on to lose Worlds by like a stroke or 2.
Yeah, like a couple strokes to Paige Pierce.
So anyway, so similar but different, obviously, for a lot of ways and a lot of reasons. And I've said this before. You look for some uniformity within the rules and consistency, because nothing for nothing. If someone was in a car accident that was sitting in 4th from last during that particular scenario, as beloved as the person may or may not have been, there's not nearly as much push to delay the start for the rest of the women. In this case, Sarah was leading, and I'm not dismissing, and I understand the whole scenario. But I'm just saying, like, then you bring in so much subjectivity to all of it, And I always said, what if the car accident was her fault, which it wasn't? But what if it was?
But what if it's Simon Lizotte?
But what if it's Simon Lizotte caught in traffic?
No. He drives up on an accident. There's a car on fire. He pulls somebody out. It's a pregnant woman who's giving birth now. He has to help give the birth. Dude, we should hold up the tournament for that, I think. I mean,
only if they give the middle name to the child, Simon.
Well, yeah, they have to at that point.
I would think so. I mean, that's what I mean, is there's so much subjectivity, and you always think, what about extreme circumstances? How extreme do you want it to get? And and I don't want to sound cold or heartless.
The show must go on.
Those are some of the things that we think about.
Worlds and our show. The show must go on.
Yes. All right.
I don't think we have much more to talk about tonight, Terry, as far as disc golf. I think we're going to get into, obviously, next week. Tuesday is our next show, and it'll be the night before World starts. Which we will already know that who the doubles winners are, and it's very strange because this is the first time in many years Worlds is starting on a Wednesday.
Well, let me follow that up and say, I don't know about that as much because I'd have to think back.
I thought it was always Tuesday through Saturday.
Well, let me say this. That's going to be the probably same time even, potentially, as the players' meeting. So stay tuned is the long and short of that. Stay tuned because the players' meeting may be taking place during our podcast time.
Maybe we'll delay the podcast till Wednesday night. We'll get one night of Worlds in and see, and we can predict a winner.
That might be a little more logical. Who knows? But just stay on your toes.
Because you're singing the national anthem at the players' at the players' meeting, right? In Mandarin.
They haven't asked me yet, but you would think they would.
You would think they would. I mean,
that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, you should learn it in Mandarin. Our national anthem in Mandarin.
Yes, because that wouldn't confuse anybody.
Not at all.
Oh my gosh!
Come on, Tara.
If only I had skills to sing or speak Mandarin. Oh my gosh! I wouldn't be sitting next to you, you dummy.
No, you probably.
I'd be on to bigger and better things if I had those skills.
Yeah, but like I said, we're just Appleton Public Schools, my friend.
Speaking of which, one of our friends ran into a high school or a junior high friend of ours. I'll have to tell you about that later.
Yeah, please do.
Last week, pretty funny. So, and Appleton Schools
was he in jail?
Appleton Schools got her through it. So
I was gonna say because we have some junior high friends who are still in jail.
No, she's not in jail, as far as I know of. Tim says drop zones every night of Worlds. Probably not, but maybe. Here's what I will say: I did learn Zoe Andike and Dustin Keegan will be a couple of my roommates at the Worlds. So there's some lodging there on site. Smugs, the #1 family destination resort. For the last
you should sleep between them. It's gonna be a little awkward if you're on one side or the other.
Like, guys, I'm the host here, and
I'm deaf in one ear. I need to sleep right here.
So Zoe and Dustin, I know, are going to be one pair of roommates, and apparently Sexton didn't like the idea of me being a roommate. Him and his family, and the new roommate changes. So Sexton's getting all big time because a few days ago I was also roommates with Sexton and his wife and his daughter, along with Zoe and Dustin. I got a new update yesterday that says I'm not in the same place with them. So Sexton definitely pulled rank and said,
wow,
I don't want to be anywhere near the disc golf guy.
With your little CPAP thing, you're quiet.
I don't think it was a snoring issue. So I believe one of our other media crews, Owen, will be my other roommate. So I'm going to have Owen. I'm hoping this is a 3-bedroom condo out there at the resort. It's going to be Owen, Dustin and Zoe, and then I'll be in another room. So there you have it. So anyway, what led me to think about that is I'll check the internet. If the internet's good, game on. I got late mornings. I'll have even later nights. We'll be on the East Coast, so that'll benefit everybody. Yeah, there could be.
Not me. I'm going to have early mornings.
Yeah.
I'm probably doing the FPO coverage at Worlds instead of the MPO that I'm used to doing because the other gentleman who does the directing is on the far West Coast, and he said he would rather not wake up at like 3:30 in the morning in order to cover FPO. So instead, I'll probably start FPO at like 6 a.m. and we'll get that taken care of by probably noon.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the Worlds. Looking forward to it. And the only other quick thing in the regular show, it could be after show, could be whatever, doesn't matter. Here we are. Bert Kreischer out at DGLO this weekend. He's been a disc golf enthusiast. He talks about disc golf to a lot of other big time outlets. Where, I feel like he's kind of like our unpaid ambassador as a guy with some celebrity pull and status. All I can say to it is just the same thing we've said about the celebrity, the celebrity events that we've had. And this is kind of, generally speaking, maybe you don't know him. Maybe he's not your cup of tea. That's okay too.
I'll say this. I've heard of him. I could pick him out of a crowd. I've never once seen anything he's done. But hey, listen,
That's fine.
The way I look at it, he seems to be popular. He seems to like disc golf. Rock on, dude.
Yeah, I didn't understand. I do, actually, because it's the internet, but just the people that want to find a way to tear down whoever gets involved, and whether that's Askren, because he lost to Jorge Mastaval, or whatever. People.
Jeremy London, because he's in Mallrats.
You get so worked up and just have to get so negative. And I'm not claiming to be Bert's best friend either. But move on. Anyway.
Try not to yuck other people's yums.
There you go. All right, let's close out the regular show. I think that's enough. That's a lot of randomness here for tonight, but I think we covered a good portion of it. Just think how off track the after show is going to get. Oh, I do have some updates. I got some Frisbees. Good. With that, we're going to close it out. This has been SmashBoxx TV Podcast 468. We'll have an after show. We're going to have some giveaways. And then I'll just give the one final reminder. Yeah, next week, things may or may not be a little off tilter or wonky. We'll keep you posted, and we'll post it out on our Facebook and on my socials and whatever as to how it's going to go down. Who knows? Next week might get silly, depending on some of the people that might be around for us. But World's Week will be upon us. Best of luck to everyone competing in Rochester this weekend, or Kevin Jones, who's not playing but DJing, and everyone else that's enjoying themselves and having a good time, including Niagara Falls and all the fun things I see you guys on tour out there doing. Enjoy it. For Johnny V, I'm the Disc Golf Guy. We'll see you in the after show. Podcast 468. We'll see you then when you step inside that SmashBoxx.
Hey.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxx TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxx TV's podcast 468's After Show.
You're a Chrome user, right, Terry Miller?
I am generally a big fan of Chrome.
Me too.
Because Rock Melt is gone.
Yes, that was your other browser.
That was
a long time ago.
Good pull, actually.
Few
of you will know what I'm talking about.
That's a deep pull right there.
Yes.
Social media integrated browser, I believe, is what it was. They've changed, and I can change it back. I know there are secret flags and everything. All their downloads now no longer pop up along the bottom.
I know,
they
it's
pop
been
up
driving
at the
me
top.
crazy.
There is a flag you can change in the settings to change it back.
You know how many things I have in my download folder because I kept downloading and not seeing it?
As an IT guy, when this started rolling out, because it didn't roll out to everybody at once, so I sent a message to the whole company. I said, hey, FYI, it's coming for you. It might be in a day. It might be in a month. Who knows the way this is rolled out. But someone had said, they're like, yeah, I downloaded the same thing 7 times because I couldn't. She's like, I clicked on it. I didn't think it was downloading. So I clicked it again.
Used to seeing it.
And they're used to seeing it pop up, but it came up at the top.
Yep.
And so sure enough, this computer just got the update as I updated it for the first time in a few months. I don't tend to update our streaming computer much, almost anything, because when it works, I don't want to break it. But I just noticed when I downloaded Patreon.com members, so we can add them to the drawing. That it came up at the very top. Yeah.
Our favorite people, the ones that support us financially. The rest of you, you're all right. You're not our favorites. Thank you guys so much, in all seriousness. Speaking of which, I have a goal. I'm going to put it out in the world so one of you can hold me to it.
Hold him to it, whatever it is. 30 pounds.
I think it should be more like 50. Funny enough, I think Bert Kreischer just literally today posted and said he's not drinking until he loses 30 pounds, and he's got a...
Oh, losing. I thought it was the other way. I thought you were trying to gain.
I'm well on my way to that. No, because he's got shows in like September 15th, and he says he wants to lose 30 pounds by that show, and he's not drinking until then. If you know Bert, that's going to be quite a task. Not the 30 pounds, the not drinking part. Anyway. No, I have last year's. It was bonus footage, as all my footage is that hasn't been out, pretty much. I do have last year's Northwoods Open, and with Northwoods Open of this year coming up in a few weeks, I want to get last year's Northwoods Open final roundup. I've got a couple other events that still need to get out, and honestly, every one of them just waiting on commentary. Some will just get me because I'm not going to wait any longer. Some won't, but some will. So just know, thank you to my Patreon people. You guys help keep me motivated and such to give you guys some of that bonus footage. The worst part is when I do a lot of those things, I outlay the time, the money, and the resources to get it recorded and get it all captured, and then sometimes it just sits on the shelf, usually because of some commentary hang up. Well, gosh darn it, let's get that stuff out for you guys. I know you guys are all just dying for some fresh stuff. All right. I'm going to read a few things off the board as Johnny continues to get ready for our giveaway that we'll be having tonight. So we appreciate you. I'm just going to read it just like it was set out there because I honestly don't know the question, the scenario, and maybe somebody has insight. But as Eric just posted on the board, what's the pepper spray incident? I don't know.
That's got to be made up, right? So here.
I don't believe so. There's some ounce or thread of truth to something regarding something, but I genuinely don't know the story. And I'm waiting for somebody to give me what they feel like is the story, or hopefully somebody knows the actual story and we're not just making stuff up.
Rumor is Macy Velodia has gotten to some sort of altercation, which could happen. They could an overzealous fan, a stranger that made her more nervous than rightfully they should. Definitely, I could see something like that happening.
And I'll throw another twist on this. I've heard Macy. I've also heard Maria. Now it could be people confusing the names. I don't know. I do not know, and I'm frustrated that I don't know. Partly because I'm nosy, and B, because I'd like the correct information, if any, to be out there. But it seems like just like a very high-level generic rumor.
Pull a few strings. Just ask around. See if there's anything interesting to be had. But
yeah, I genuinely don't know.
What I know is that it wasn't you or I that got maced. So
not this week.
I haven't been maced in
college.
I was going to say at least a month, but
oh, those don't count.
No, those don't count. I've never been maced.
You say that with a shocking tone.
We've done some dumb things in our lives, Terry.
Clearly nothing egregiously towards any females.
Oh, God, never.
Just
no.
to be clear on that. I'm not insinuating. But
no, I'm just assuming somebody else, like a police officer, would mace me.
Yeah, being involved or around something that would require a mace to touch the air.
Yeah.
No, other than listening to a little mace at the clubs.
Yeah. I've listened to some mace at the clubs.
But that's as close as we've gotten. So, and if there is a serious thing that came about, of course we would treat it with all seriousness as such. But nothing more than a very light wisp of a rumor of some kind involving either Maria or Macy.
Well, and here's what I'll say is that every once in a while on day one, the YouTube chat board just makes something up. And they all roll with it, which I think is sometimes funny. And so I see on Reddit, people will be like, hey, I heard so-and-so, got into a fight with so-and-so, and everyone, and you have to realize, like, oh no, that's just some person on the board who is constantly hitting some fake news to kind of fool people and roll. Just to start something. I've seen it at least 3 times this year, where someone just rolls with a story that's not true. Now, I'm not saying that that's what this is, but I have seen that before on the YouTube board, that some overzealous fan just thinks it's funny to constantly, like every 20 minutes, just talk about, Ella Hansen, beating up James Conrad. Like, did you hear Ella Hansen just beat up James Conrad? Yeah. He stole a disc from her or something. Just make random made up stories. And so I think on one hand, because I'm kind of, I enjoy the chaos, I think it's funny, depending on the story. Yeah. You have to, it has to be.
There's a line there.
There's a line where it has to be just not believable enough where you can kind of be like, whatever, and you can't really, it can't put somebody else into a bad light, is my opinion. There has to be some whatever to it.
Interesting.
But again, I'm not saying that's what this is. So yes, the Simon's dog bite. I remember back at the memorial when someone was like, "Oh yeah, Simon's dog bit Yuli." It's like Simon doesn't have a dog, and so they just went off with the story, and it was all weekend. Did you hear that Simon's it was something like that? I don't mind nearly as much. It's very goofy or whatever. So
okay,
and maybe that's what this is. Maybe it's not. Maybe there really was something to it.
Yeah. I was just thinking. I'm trying to think. I'll get back to you on that. Another note. This is pretty random, of course, as they should.
Welcome to the after show.
Yep. Another note was, I called you this weekend at one point, I think, to confirm. Once you've lost your Discord information.
No. Well, let's back that up.
Okay.
Not just your Discord information. You lost your 2-factor authentication information.
Seemingly, because it keeps asking for it, and I have one app on my phone, Google Authenticator.
Which you probably... Did you set it to sync now? There's an option in there that you can now set it to sync, so if you bounce between phones, you get to keep that 2-factor. Because I made the... How many phones does this guy have?
That's a long story.
I've got one of his phones, and he's got a phone.
I'm only doing it for this reason.
So, when I switched to this iPhone, I didn't think about it, and I formatted my old phone and handed it to my kid. And so I had an issue because I forgot to grab the 2-factor authentication and sign it into a new phone. This was before they offered the cloud sync for your authentication, which, as I tell everybody in the world, if there is a site that offers 2-factor authentication, turn it on.
My old phone has it.
Terry's old phone has the 2-factor authentication.
That's exactly why I hunted it down.
So now he can get. See, this is what it is. So now what I want you to do, make sure on there is
delete my phone.
Delete your phone.
Nobody can get.
Well, the first thing you should do is log into your Discord, turn off 2-factor authentication, turn it back on with your new phone.
Oh, I am so excited. You guys have no idea because I effed with this for at least an hour and then some. Oh, I'm in Discord. It's my other new login.
Is it your other new login?
Which is so frustrating.
Now you've got 2 logins. Yay! But anyway, if a site offers 2-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, please take it. It's best for everything. It'll help cause any problems that I might be running into this week at work.
Yeah, but explain further. Explain further how 2-factor authentication, how you have to have this app follow you around as well.
Yes.
Which is what I didn't realize.
Yes, the multi-factor authentication requires either one of 2 things. You either need to, when you sign up for it, almost every place will give you what's known as backup codes. So just in case you drop your phone in the bottom of Lake Michigan, you can have these backup codes. So when you sign up for 2-factor authentication, it'll say, cool, your 2-factor authentication is set up to your Google Authenticator, which is what I use. But if you lose Google Authenticator, here is your backup codes, and they'll give you backup codes that you then store in a safe spot. Either maybe you put them in your email like an idiot, or you print them off and you put them in your back pocket. I don't know, nor do I really care. So yes, you have to have those because they were probably given to you at some point. or you can recreate them. Or like, I think I mentioned this on the podcast, when my son had his Minecraft account broken into, which is ultimately my account.
See, guys, look.
You can show them your two-factor. It changes every often.
I know.
That I had to wait 30 days for Microsoft to re-enable my account, my personal Microsoft account, which I don't use. The only thing it's used for is this Minecraft bullcrap. He was out of Minecraft for 30 days because I didn't take my backup codes. I didn't have my authenticator because I formatted my phone. He's on. Terry's so happy. He's on his Discord. He's on, which a utensil that he never really uses.
No, but I've been needing to get into it.
Why do you need to get into it?
Because apparently Statmando puts a bunch of cool stuff there.
They do. They've got a whole. They
have forever, and this is all fine and dandy until I couldn't get into it, and I tried and I tried and I tried. Oh my gosh!
I'm glad you didn't format your phone.
I could have swore I did. That's what's crazy.
I clearly didn't, unless somehow that's tied to like a.
But I have Google
ID.
Authenticator on this phone, not of which has that account.
Correct. So what you should do, like I said, remove your two-factor authentication, Terry, and delete it from that phone, and then reset it up on this phone, and make sure this phone is synced up, because you probably have.
And then learn my 6-digit reset or my 8-digit backup code.
Well, you don't have to learn it. You could print it off somewhere or give it to a trusted person.
Do I get to set it? Do I set that?
No, they give you one.
Oh, see, I definitely lost that.
Yeah, you definitely. I mean, they probably showed it to you, and they were like, "Hey, store this," and you're like, "I don't fucking need that."
Who needs that? Oh my gosh!
I'm so happy for you, Terry.
I shouldn't be this excited because yes, you're right. I rarely give about Discord.
Yeah.
But now.
Yes, Terry. Is Terry going to be in the Smashbox Discord? Maybe someday,
not.
but doubtful.
Send me an invite thing for that. However that works.
Yes, I will send you the invite for that so you can jump in and never use it.
Yeah, because I'm messaging Statmando like, "Hey guys, new computer, who dis? I need an invite to the Statmando server or something." And they didn't see it until after the final round, the final day. I sent it to them the final day, and then at the end of the day, like, "Oh, sorry, we just saw this." I was like,
you should have just made up stats and said
Statmando says.
Statmando says
that would have got them messaging me like, "We didn't say that, you idiot."
Eagles never had more than 2 birdies in a round. Who knew?
Thank you, Statmando.
Just plug them for the worst info. They'd have got to you, Terry. I guarantee you, they'd have got to you.
That's a good call.
But yes, anyway, two-factor authentication. Because, I mean, again, Terry, so how many things do you have in your two-factor authentication? Just that?
Well, in this phone, it was literally just Discord. In this phone, there's like 3 things, apparently.
Yeah.
None of which are Discord.
So.
Don't show them. Oh, wow, Johnny.
Those are all the things that require two-factor authentication that I have. Looking at it, I have multiple Google accounts for work, personal, and an old one. Obviously, my Amazon accounts, my domain registration accounts, my son's Epic Games, which is Fortnite, which he never plays anymore.
Oh, all right. Save some of the drip. All right.
My Coinbase account for my
That's one of mine
my
as well.
0.24 Bitcoin. Our Zoho invoicing, my PayPal, some work stuff that I won't talk about, my Stripe account, which I don't use, my Nintendo account, Amazon AWS services, which is where we host the servers.
Oh my!
My Facebook accounts.
This is exciting, people.
My Wise accounts for the smart plugins in my wall. I said again, I live by the motto: if it offers two-factor, I sign up for it. My Slack accounts, my Microsoft accounts, my Intuit accounts, my LinkedIn account, which never gets used. Discord, obviously. Zix.
Who wants your stuff?
My Bitwarden, which is my password, like kind of like the 1Pass thing. Again, I'm just saying, if you're here,
turned it off. All right, you can break into my.
You can now break into Terry's account because his Discord is no longer two-factor authentication. So,
all right.
I almost went Youper there. Almost.
What a side note there. So thank you, people. Now I'm going to be the actively involved on Discord.
No, you won't. Discord's a great place to have a conversation. That's not for you.
No,
because you're not.
How loud can I really argue that way?
No, I mean it's because again, Discord is a place where things usually just move, and it's not someone doesn't make a post and it sits there and you can comment under it. You're not one for I know you. You're not one to log into a place and be like, oh, let's sit and chat for 25 minutes.
No, not unless I need something.
Not unless you need something.
Or they need something from me.
Yeah, so that's not your type of environment. Not to say you couldn't go in there if someone tagged you and asked you a question.
I can barely type my fingies.
You've got enough phones to chat with, but ultimately...
That's the only reason I got this thing back out, and oh my gosh, and it paid off.
So clearly there's nothing wrong with it, so what's it being used for right now?
For backup.
For your backup, that's my authenticator phone.
Nobody will ever guess where, if you get in my phone, too bad, doesn't have any two-factor there.
Oh, they stole my phone? That's not my two-factor phone.
That's right.
I have three-factor now.
Two-factor, 2 or more location. See? Huh? I'm just outsmarting you guys out there.
You are one step ahead of the crowd.
So anyway, that was some of the fun side notes and challenge I had this weekend. And to be fair, Zoe and I, exact same problem. Must have enabled it. Can't get into her account, so she's just going to create a new one and move on as well. So Discord, we'll end it. That's enough. That's enough silly talk.
Like there are other ways that these companies can do it if they can somehow send you an email, make you wait 30 days, things like that. Like that's what Microsoft did. But yeah, and then they disabled my two-factor, so then I turned it on my new phone and enabled it. Because at the time, Microsoft only offered their own Microsoft Authenticator, not the Google Authenticator.
Which I have now as well.
And so that's why I forgot it, because I moved over the Google Authenticator and not the Microsoft one. So then it was like, oh, but now they offer any Authenticator app. They offer a Google Authenticator app.
Well, a quick side note to tie this all up. This last year, I was in Thailand, and not only did I have to use Skype for something, but then I also had to get into my eBay account because something had sold, and like my daughters are going to be able to fulfill the order for some boxes. And I was trying to log in, and it's like, oh, someone's trying to log in from another country. I'm like, no, it's really me. I was they were showing you the map. I'm like, no, that is definitely me this time. And then similarly with Skype, it made me go through some authenticator, blah, blah, blah. I changed the password like 19 times. And I was using the Google Authenticator. I'm sorry, the Microsoft one, and somehow it was tied to my eBay or something like that. Long story short, I ended up getting on the phone with tech support. I'm like, of eBay, of all places, who I barely use anymore. And I'm like, yes, it is actually me. Like I had to go an extra step, even though I was saying, yes, this is me in Thailand. And I had to go an extra step, and I got on the phone and I let eBay know this is legitimate. This login from Thailand. Like, what are the odds? Because you see all these crazy logins that are attempted all over the planet that aren't you. And the one time I really do need to get in. I tell you, the struggles I have. The
international travel, the struggles, Terry Miller.
Yeah. So
sorry, write a book, buddy. Right?
I know. I know. So many of you feel bad for me. Speaking of feeling bad, there's some birthdays. No, there's a couple of birthdays today. I know I mentioned one a little bit earlier. Also, Justin Atwater Taylor, if you don't know him, he was essentially the original designer of the grip bag. The grip bag you see today, he was the original designer and original creator of that company.
At Japan Open that we went to, we shot that
2010.
One of the very first videos
ever featuring a grip bag, which believe it or not, like that was the most advanced backpack style bag on the planet. Gateway had a backpack bag that wasn't as comfortable, so I can't say Grip was the first ever. They weren't. And then there were other things that made shoulder straps that made it carrying it like a backpack, but Grip made the most ergonomic backpack bag. And we had the prototype, and there's a video. I should find it on my channel. You guys would get a laugh out of it. That's Justin Atwater Taylor. Anyway, he celebrates a birthday today. I want to get that in there. Also from that kind of general area, the guy who's now running Grip, Dick Parker, celebrating a birthday today. Another fellow KC guy with Dick is Jack Lowe, celebrating a birthday today. Oh,
happy birthday, Jack Lowe.
One of the craziest, wildest, most fun men on the planet. I said, we've had some crazy times in Thailand and literally all over the country. I think they're far from over. So I love you, Jack, and awesome for your birthday today. In addition, I think Patrick Brown celebrates a birthday today. So, there's a good number. And everyone else that celebrated a birthday this week, next week, happy birthday to everybody. But those are some that jumped out at me as like, what a
And-
very substantial day. And our good friend Johnny Rumble, who
Yes.
also has been in Thailand. He's been in
2
Japan
days
with
ago?
us. 2 days ago,
2 days
celebrated his birthday on the 20th. So happy birthday to Johnny Rumble, who's an occasional listener as well.
And happy birthday to Ray on the
What?
board, who this Sunday,
Happy birthday, Ray.
Sunday the 27th, his 27th birthday.
Wow, golden birthday. I love it.
No, not really, but we're going to pretend.
We'll go with that.
We're going to go with the 27, Ray. You'll always be 27 in my heart.
So happy birthday to all of those people. It just feels like a bunch specifically really popping up on the Facebooks today. Some of which I knew, some of which I didn't. So awesome. Somebody recently reached out to me regarding completing their Disc Golf Pro Tour card sets.
Oh, the early 2016 ones?
Yeah.
I got
And
some,
this gentleman,
some of them were lying around somewhere.
this gentleman
behind
said,
me.
I just need a Yuli.
Don't we all? Don't
I know.
we all?
Right here. I need a Yuli as well. I'm like, yeah, I've got a few dozen of those. Not a problem. We're going to work out a deal. But clearly the card market has, blown up and
It's been reinvigorated
yeah.
the last month with the Brixton cards that have come
yes.
out, the golden era. Best card set that's ever been created.
Obviously
Because we're in
Johnny's
it.
in it.
No, because Terry and I are in it. We have our own card.
But yes, it just, and then today I find myself going through some of these 2016 cards, just thinking about how they were so cool at first. I was so excited about them. We were excited about them. We got a ton of them. I invested heavily in them. I think I was even somewhat quasi compensated in lieu of some other money. I took some cards as part of compensation. And then they kind of largely went under the radar for a few years, where there just wasn't a lot of hubbub or concern about them. Hubbub being a new term I just coined. Just not a lot of fanfare or discussion around them until this last couple of years.
Until COVID, and then all card markets tended to shoot up, including the disc golf cards. And then I would say for a little while, even after that, they kind of started to dip down again. And now with the Brixton cards, there's renewed interest in disc golf cards as well that is pushing it back up. And I don't know how long that'll last. I don't know if now that the Brixton cards are out, I know that's the golden era. I believe they still have some of those. Remember when they let you pick they let you pick the player and then one of 3 levels, and you could buy that particular card, and then they'll make only as many as there are.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are going to come out in the future. I hope so. I think I paid for them, so they're coming out. But those will come out in the future, and it'll probably push the card market up again. But I bet that the card market kind of dies down a little bit. So Simon was online. He had like 1,000 people on Instagram watching him open up a box of Brixton cards.
Okay.
Which
today, right? Earlier today, I think I saw.
Today, I think that was today. I saw it, and I never know when I'm scrolling through Instagram if it was today or yesterday. But he didn't get a Johnny or Terry card.
What?
And he didn't get a Simon card. So
well, that's like a lump of coal then.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
Did he just throw them right away? Or was he just like
just burn them?
Trash?
What? He got like a Dickerson card with a jersey part on it, but nah. He cried because it wasn't a Terry card. I heard.
Okay. Well, I did get mine. I think a week or two ago, I got the boxes I had ordered. So like you did, I just got to do what you do, and I will do some kind of official live unboxing or something of that nature where I too will go through them. Just a matter of setting it up to get it done, but I did get them. And then Brixton was gracious enough, and I know they did this with every single player or every single person that got a card. I saw Nate and Val's this weekend. They had sent both of us, and again, every person, they had sent some cards to them as well. So if you were part of the set in any capacity, you also got some personal cards, so to speak. I have not. That box also came while I was gone this weekend. I saw Nate and Val had gotten theirs.
Mine's upstairs. I cracked it open to take. It also included,
I think, still you.
Still me. They also included 2 packs in there.
So
nice. Which I'll just leave sealed along with the box that I have that I'll leave sealed.
But there could be more cards than me in those packs.
There could be. That's why if I open them and they're in there, it's going to devalue it. So this way nobody knows.
The allure,
It's
the
like,
mystery
oh.
is more valuable. Is that what you're telling me?
Do I have to include the Miller card? Like, yes, you do.
So, okay. I am excited, though, to start going through all of that at some point here.
Before you do.
So, thank you, Brixton.
Yes, thank you, Brixton. Get yourself some hard cases. Order some online if you don't already have any.
I know. I was just trying to think how many I have at home.
I was short by like 10. So
should I just type in hard? Yes, no, hard cases.
Yeah. I mean, hard
cards.
Yeah.
Ooh, there's 100 pack. Oh, I'll just get right to it.
Might as well.
Holy cow!
Yeah, someone said it's a Schrodinger's Terror Bear in that pack.
Yeah, I was digging through some of the 2016 cards. What I do have a lot of that will be up for trade.
Ooh.
At some point when I finally get around to organizing, like legitimately organizing them all. I've got a lot of the venue cards from the first year. And I mean a lot.
I think
there was only 5 venues.
I think I have all the venue cards. I have to double check.
There was the Ledgestone, which is like the water tower picture. There's Ledgestone. There's Maple Hill. There's Manitowoc,
Green Mountain,
and BRP, Blue Ribbon Pines. And coincidentally, nothing more than that, since we live in Wisconsin, I feel like I got a ton of the Manitowoc ones in particular, the Silver Cup ones. But I have a ton of those venue cards. I know those were obviously of some limited nature and could only be randomly pulled out of packs. So when I get around to it, those will be some that'll be up for trades. I'd just like to round out, my sets better.
Sure.
So if I have 12 Silver Cup cards and only 2 BRPs, the least I could do is somehow even out those numbers a little better.
I'll have to look and see what I have because I thought I had all the venue cards, one of each venue card. I know I was missing one of the champion cards.
Ooh.
It might have been the Sarah Hokum one. I'll have to take a look. But other than that, I obviously have a few of the complete sets.
Simon put his hat into the chains after the win. Also, you should keep doing that. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Did he do his
falls out?
He falls at the bottom. Did he do his runaround high five?
He did.
As he should.
And
that's his thing. How many things can he have? Come on.
You can have them all when you're Simon. The other incredible thing that was also listed by Statmando today was how he's had 6 Elite Series wins in the last 30 events, which is more than any other person. And
Ricky has 4, I believe.
You and I can rewind to 5 years ago, and you would have almost laughed.
Yeah,
you'd have been like, Simon's not going to have the most Elite Series win in a 30 or 40 or 60 month window. Like, he's always been good. He's always been entertaining. He's always like this incredible human, but he wasn't known for winning. In fact, he rarely won. And now
he's the most winning.
You can't, it's hard to bet against him.
It is.
It's incredible. So
someone asks on the board, Terry, the DOS baby is adorable. Did you get a chance to meet him? Did you hold the DOS baby?
Of course I did. And I have to ask Val to send me up the pic she took. Luca Jenkins DOS. Very healthy little baby boy. 3 weeks and 2 days old, because 3 weeks was Sunday. He was 3 weeks on Sunday, so I'll do the math for you guys. 2 days later, 3 weeks and 2 days. I was going to say very little crying, but also Val was often in a different room even. But I heard, there was very little crying, which now that I think about it was really refreshing. And I did hold Luca. I think it was the first day that I was there. Must have been on Thursday. I arrived Wednesday night. So yeah, Thursday. Beautiful little baby boy, healthy.
That's what matters.
Val's doing great. Nate's doing great. Like they're just, they're brand new parents and they are so excited. And yeah.
And obviously anyone that's had a kid knows for some parents, it's the early part of the childhood that's the problem. If the kid won't, it's colicky, if it won't stop crying or screaming, that can be a nightmare. For some people, it is later in, the kid, my kids both, from the start, they slept great. Never had an issue. It wasn't until a little later that we had issues with my daughter and her sleeping. So
Yeah, so far so good. They had a doctor appointment on one of the days that I was there. Got a few little tips and tricks that made things go even smoother for them. But yeah, it was incredible. One thing we faced, which of course is part of the Bend fall season, a little bit smoky. The air quality, the AQI ranged anywhere. I want to say it got down to as low as 112 and into the 230 area, which is not good for anyone that knows AQI. So it's just, that's all part of the season, really, and obviously which way the wind might be blowing on any given day or week or weekend. And so, some of our time was limited. I got to go to a new place. It's a little different, of course, the dynamic, and I've said this before. Often our day gets done. We then sit around and talk disc golf for an hour or two. Then we go to some local establishment, and then we come back, talk a little more disc golf, and then I call it a night. This was one of the first times ever where Nate and Val said, hey, we're going to hang back. And Sexton and I got to go have a little date on one of the nights. And, of course, everything has changed. But so that was great. And Nate and Bree, I think, just celebrated 10 years on Thursday or Friday as well. Their 10-year anniversary. I think it was 10-year anniversary. It was their anniversary. They went out to a fancy dinner one of the other nights.
You didn't invite yourself along?
No.
Just get the table next to them, not even sit with them. Just like, hey, guys.
What are you guys talking about?
I'm just going to eat over here by myself.
Oh,
what are you getting?
You don't want a room with me at Worlds? Yeah. Have a great dinner. So congrats to them as well. I saw Coraline this weekend. Bree's parents were in town. There was a women's only, an all women's event that took place up at Three Sisters on Saturday, with Sharon Jenkins and Sally West were running, and that was successful. So it was an awesome weekend as always in Bend. So
one of the things I always have to ask is, you flew back and forth to Bend.
Yeah,
that's about 8 hours of plane rides. What did you fill your time with?
Some delays yesterday. Actually, I'll quickly run through this. Originally, we got done so early on Sunday that it actually didn't cost any money, United, to go out Sunday night to catch the latest flight on Sunday night out of Bend to then get me into Chicago. I would have then taken a bus to get back to Milwaukee, and that all would have been cheaper and easier to do. So I booked it. Saturday. I booked it for Sunday to do that. I was like, holy cow, I'm going to have a miserable Monday no matter what. I'm going to be tired. So let's get home 6 hours earlier. So I book it. 5 minutes before I go to bed on Saturday night, oh, hey, we just changed your flight. Like, no. I just made a new flight. Like, no. We changed it. So instead of you going out at 6 o'clock on Sunday, you're not going out at your 5 a.m. on Monday like you planned. We're going to put you on 1 o'clock on Monday. Which makes for me being able to like relax and travel more comfortably, but it for sure blows my entire Monday away.
Yes.
Go Monday at 1 o'clock, which is just yesterday. Get to Denver, no problems. Everything's good. In fact, I got upgraded thanks to United and apparently my status. I got upgraded to one of the front fancier.
Baller.
Yeah. Where they asked me if I wanted champagne. I'm like, I didn't just win a disc golf tournament. So great flight. Get into Denver. Very short turnaround.
So in front of business class, you got into first class.
Well, it's like, yeah. There's like 10 first class seats. First class, I think. I don't even know if they call it that.
Because when I fly United, I always just do business class.
Oh, no. I get that for free now, essentially. Yeah. So then I get into Denver, get there, and whatever. What do they say to me? Oh, we're waiting on your crew to get to the plane. I'm like, oh, there's the plane, so just gotta wait on the crew. Okay. Little delay, no big deal. The crew gets there. Oh, the crew's just got to check out the plane. Yeah, okay, no big deal. Oh, the crew, something they don't like on the plane. We got to get you a different plane.
That's a baller move. As a
so
pilot.
I
don't love this plane. It kind of smells funny.
They had to back out the plane, unload it, switch all our stuff onto the new plane, get that one in, inspect that, and then get us out. Long story short, I get about a 2-hour delay. Here's maybe the worst part of the whole story.
Okay. Here's your first world problem, people.
Very much so. Because now I'm this is when I watch Netflix or read a book. Either or. Somehow I've gotten hooked on a video game.
Ooh. That is not like you. Unless it's, I could see it being like a Tetris clone or something along those lines.
I am officially hooked on Block Blast.
That sounds like the cheapest Arkanoid knockoff or like Super Breakout knockoff from the Atari, where like just a ball just bounces up and down and gets rid of like the blocks.
Well, you were right the first time. It's a direct derivative of Tetris.
Okay.
And so you have very similar Tetris pieces,
But they're not falling.
and they don't fall, and they don't move even when you do get rid of a line,
Oh.
but you're still trying to gain all these points. And so on and so forth. So it's obviously strategic, 100% strategic in what you're trying to do. You get bonus points. So it's very Tetris-like with some slight variations
Sure.
to it.
It's like a puzzle you're putting together constantly with Tetris pieces.
Yeah. I hate to admit how addicted I am to this. And at some point I'm just going to get burned out and then I'll probably never touch it again, hopefully.
Yeah.
I've played this for way too many hours.
That's kind of how I felt about Wordscapes when it first came out, where did you play that at all?
No.
It's more or less, they give you like 6 letters and you have to pick, trying to make words,
right? Yep.
and they have to fit into a thing, which made me chuckle because I think I played that 8-9 years ago when it came out. A couple weeks ago when I was up visiting my grandmother before she passed away, my mom's sitting there with her iPad and she opens it up and there she is playing Wordscapes, and she's on like level like 2 million or some crap. Like that's like the game she plays.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember chuckling, being like, "Oh yeah, I remember when I played that." Yeah, I just usually play solitaire on my phone now. Honestly,
that would bore me specifically. I'm only on.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to quit. I've gotten a few. I don't know if they're high scores or not. I need to stop. I spent almost every free moment playing that this weekend.
Okay.
And that's, as you said, that's not like me.
No, it's not.
But I was able to play it on the plane.
Because it doesn't require an internet connection, which
correct,
is nice.
but when you are playing, here's the pro tip, and maybe this will suffice. When you're playing with a regular internet connection, it gives you ads every so often. And I've looked. I was ready. I was going to throw $20 at this thing to like get rid of the ads because they're truly obnoxious. The ads are just absolutely obnoxious. And I'm like, is there a paid version? I'll gladly pay that, no problem. Couldn't find how to do it. But when you're on the plane, it's not serving up those ads, and it's just letting you keep playing games.
So you could probably
became more addicting. So could I just put it in airplane mode?
Put it in airplane mode. Put your phone in airplane mode when you play.
That thought crossed my mind.
Of course, then you're not going to get any messages.
But what about my 2-factor authentication?
Well, if you need that to play Block Break, then...
Anyway, so there is the pro, non-pro tip. If you
so you
like
didn't watch
Tetris,
anything? You played your little
I didn't.
Block Break
I did
game.
not watch anything this weekend on the planes, surprisingly. Both of my flights were 2 hours. I barely took a break from playing it during either of my layovers. I'm almost embarrassed to admit how much I played this game.
I haven't played a game like that in a while. Like I said, I'll play Solitaire. I've got this Solitaire game that has like 80 different versions of Solitaire, and I think
Block Blast for all of our all of our video people out there. This is what I was hooked on.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah. Normally I've got like movie and I was able to watch a movie, or I watched a couple more, episodes on some random series that's like 6 years removed from pop culture that I'm finally catching up on. Yeah.
Have you guys heard of Seinfeld? This is great.
Exactly. Or Schitt's Creek or something. No.
Schitt's Creek?
Yeah.
Dust says he plays Marvel Snap. I did play Marvel Snap. I lost interest in it pretty quickly, actually. So, I'm trying to think if there's any game. If I do, it would be on the front screen of my... No, like this is my Solitaire game. This is the only thing on the front screen. Oh, I mean, I do the New York Times mini crosswords.
Sure, that I can see.
And I've gotten a little bit back into Wordle again.
Yeah.
I do it once.
I'm 31 days running. now?
Yeah, I think.
I only care because of that streak, and as soon as I break that streak, I might lose interest for the last time.
Yeah. See, I don't get the streak. I don't care about the streak personally. Just winning or just playing. Like my current streak is only 2.
Well, what I hated about it, and that, which is a little disingenuous, it feels like, or awkward. What really turned me off about it is if you flat out just miss a day of doing it.
Yeah.
And well, I know, but I think of the streak as like you've successfully conquered it. I guess people would then maybe back out, but like there was once or twice I think I was traveling international, and I just with the timing and everything else somehow I just lapsed on it and didn't do it, and my whatever it was, my streak broke, and I was like, oh well, that feels shitty.
Yeah. No,
because I didn't even open it. I didn't even attempt it.
And that's why my streak is only like 2, because I didn't play a couple days ago, and when I was swamped doing whatever. So
Tim says Terry's going to stream Block Blast in Discord. Yeah, I'm going to tie this all together, you guys. You're going to get a whole new me.
That's
no,
valid.
I've got a bunch of things to do this week. I will say this, if you are interested in getting my disc in a box shipped to you, reach out. It's going to be a lot easier now over the next week or so before I have a pretty crazy stretch. I have a new order already in, like another 10,000 or so boxes. I keep going through them, which means you guys keep using them and enjoying it. But reach out sooner than later. I've got boxes and bags in stock at the moment. Other things in stock, this is kind of random. We're finally getting around to it. There was enough hubbub. I know everybody has their disc releases and things, going on. But this weekend specifically,
the 20-year buzz.
The 20-year buzz was officially released. And
shout out to Daddy Disc Golf, who I got one from. I don't know if he still has any, but if he does, go out and shop with him. Or Terry Miller.
You might be able to shop with me, and here's why. This is I don't even think I shared this with you.
You did?
I got more than what they originally said. Maybe I shouldn't tell the world that shit. I got more than what they originally said they were going to send me. They were under very limited quantities.
Correct. A lot of places only got 20, 25.
Yeah, they were under very limited quantities.
It's weird that they sent you 100.
I was warned of said limited quantities. And maybe something got screwed up in my order, and I don't know. I didn't get an invoice.
Don't question.
Shh, they don't watch. Bob, I know you're watching. Damn it. Anyway, so thank you to Discraft. I won't say how many thousands I got, but thank you to Discraft. Yes, it does sound like they were ultimately, though, under very limited quantities. I will be able to let some go. Of course, there's plenty I want to just throw in my storage to never touch again and hoard and hold on to from a collectability standpoint. But as I could share with you as well, I did get more.
Well, good.
So I'm happy about that.
I'm glad.
Very weird, though, to see like a weekend release. And they're very explicit when you open the boxes. Like every retailer on the planet, like under strict instruction, were you not allowed to sell them ahead of time, so on and so forth. I can appreciate all of those measures. Lots of different companies do that for lots of different releases. I'm a big fan. I also, at the very last moment, was able to get an order in for the new Glow Lazadals. So I will be getting my hands on those as well from our friends at MVP. Made sure to get an order in.
That's cool.
Pretty. You didn't see it, so Simon just before final round had a stack.
I saw he was giving discs to kids or something.
I don't think there were kids in particular. I mean, some kids I'm sure got some, but had a stack of discs, and I think he had them all signed by then, and individually just handed them out to random people before his round. And what can you not love about that? Unless you're Discraft and you want to be like petty and be like, hey, don't be handing out free Frisbees at the event we're putting on.
I can't imagine
Discraft wouldn't do
doing
that. That would be the closest thing to something petty that I think could be said or done. But yeah, what a move by Simon, and who doesn't love that?
I've said that I think in general, players doing things like that obviously will always endear them to whatever. I think players should, because right now there's kind of a strict rule with the Disc Golf Pro Tour that we don't mention discs. That has been, I know Ian used to be very popular with mentioning this. I think some brands were not on board with that being the major sponsor, mentioning other brands, so they just kind of put a kibosh on all of it. I've said before, if a player wants to promote their disc after you hit a big putt or a big shot, you show the disc to that camera. I think that's what guess what? Gannon Burr hits an 80-foot putt. The cameraman follows him. He pulls it out. He turns around and shows him the P whatever he's putting with. I know what he puts with, but P2, PA2. Yeah, probably the PA2. Who knows? I don't know. I don't care. I don't care what any player throws, honestly. Because guess what? All discs are the same. Every brand has every mold, and it's just a matter of who you want to stamp it. Maybe you prefer a little bit of plastic, this or that. Like, oh, this one plastic feels a little bit better in my hand. This one doesn't. Fine, go with
except
that.
for the ones I sell. Those are a little special.
Yours are special.
Mine are special.
Yours come with love.
Yeah.
It's different.
Ogling and pressing and touching.
Yeah. I mean,
I may or may not lick a disc before I send it.
We don't know.
Who's going to know?
But in general, I mean, unless you Instagram it, then people will know. But in general, every disc, every manufacturer now has practically every mold. If there's something you want, your preferred manufacturer probably has it. So I don't really care who throws what these days. But in general, I think more players should show what they're throwing to the camera if they want to promote their stuff.
Or just they make a putt like P2.
That might be a little weird. It's hard to pull that off.
I'm just saying you can't deny it.
Plus, one of the big complaints about the broadcast is the booth, I think, hears the encore stuff way better than the people.
I think that I disagree.
Oh, I don't think so, because there are so many times when you or one of the other people in the booth will mention something. Oh, yeah, and you heard him say something. Nobody else hears that. Nobody else.
Even with my deaf ear.
Even with your deaf ear.
That honestly surprises me. I feel like it's the opposite.
I think the booth is hearing what the on-course is much better than what the people at home are. That's one thing I've noticed, because people always complain like...
So should I be repeating it? What was said that I'm referencing?
Yes, if you're referencing something, it doesn't hurt for you to kind of maybe give some context. That's just my take.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like it's the opposite. Or again, maybe I am genuinely sincere when I say sometimes I feel like other people hear stuff happening or that's said on the course that I have no idea what's heard, and I'm intently listening and I won't hear it, and then maybe my two booth mates will hear it, or I feel like the gallery at home hears it, but maybe that's not the case. Yeah, there was somebody. It must have been the opening day, because it was on the YouTube thread where somebody very aggressively came at me and the broadcast saying there needs to be every disc and every mold and every manufacturer should get mentioned on every shot.
Bah, nope, never wrong.
Yeah, and no.
I would just at that point purposefully be telling people wrong information. like, oh, Simon throwing the Eclipse. Who knew?
Yeah, it's again, I won't even give you the whole spiel.
Here comes Stevie Rico's arrow.
Yeah, it becomes irrelevant if Missy Gannon has 9 Thrashers in her bag, somewhere between 6 and 12. Let's just say she has 9. She threw her blue one. Okay, that's her beat up one. Okay. What is it beat up like you'd beat it up? Is it the same plastic? What weight is it? Was it stickered at 169 and now it's actually close shaved down to 162 or 167? Was it the third run from the 4th day 10 years ago, or was it the one she picked out of the factory yesterday? Like, we can argue about consistency, but again, the point is when so many players have these discs in their bag, and then guess what? You probably don't throw like them.
No, you don't.
You don't throw like Calvin. Because
But
if you did, you'd be out playing disc golf on the Pro Tour
with Calvin.
But you don't throw like Calvin.
Well, that's just it. When it's Missy, no matter what she's throwing, just call it a Thrasher.
That's a
great putt with her Thrasher.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
she's gonna throw a roller with her Thrasher.
It's just people are so
there's
hung
Missy's
up on
grenade
knowing,
with her Thrasher.
Just so hung up on what that disc is, and I always say, like, I have discs in my bag that fly nothing like what they came off the line, out of the assembly line or out of the machine, like nothing. And most people do. So if I tell you I have a beat up rock that actually flies just like a brand new Cobra would have, then what's the point? What's the difference?
Nobody throws those discs anymore.
I know, but I'm just saying.
What? Throws with like a what?
I had to go old school for some of you out there. Anyway,
You just tried to outdo my Eclipse and my Tracer reference.
No, yours were a better pull. Spock says, I throw like Kelvin, but definitely not like Kelvin. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I throw like Kelvin in that we both throw backhands. That's about as close to how I throw Kelvin as it's about it. But you know what? Patreon.com.
If you want to listen like the pros, we'll tell you how to do that.
No. Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. You can be eligible for our giveaway. We're going to do 2 giveaways tonight because we didn't do one last week. Unless you did one that I didn't. No, Terry, but
nope, I said we'd do 2.
But we do 2 this week was my guess.
And I don't want to spoil it with these, but I want to get these shout outs in here. These won't be yet because I want to be on brand with this last weekend. But I do want to say soon, we're hoping to have Chuck Conley, who did give me discs to give away at some point.
Ooh.
So these are a couple of the
USWDGC
fundraiser discs. So Chuck Conley, I want to say thank you. I reached out to him today, but I didn't catch him in time to possibly have him on the show. We want to talk to him before U.S. Women's take place. And when we do, that's when we'll give these out. And then Johnny, these are actually a gift for you. They've been sitting here for a month.
They've been sitting here. I've been looking at them.
You had no idea.
I had no clue they were a gift for
I will
me.
quickly give a shout out for these guys. Lone Star, when I saw them at the booth at Pro Masters Worlds, which it was also Am Master Worlds. At Masters Worlds, Lone Star had heard or said something or other about various discs and types. They wanted to see if there's anything that would suit me and fit me best. And these in particular wouldn't, because I think they gave me a stiffer / slicker version. But I said, you might like these. These are some blue bonnets, some putters, because they heard of your putting prowess and said, hey, we need
to get a putter in that guy's hand.
Yeah, so a couple of discs from our friends over at Lone Star. I wanted to get that shout out in there.
Well, thank you, Lone Star. I will definitely play with these in the backyard.
Yeah,
I like how tacky they are right off the bat, I'll say. Feels good in the hand.
Yep. Any line you put those on.
I put it on.
Any line you put those on, that'll hold it. Yes.
Yeah, these are 2301. Those are my favorite numbers that all are under 4.
Yes. So they those make up your favorite numbers. So anyway, I did want to shout out Lone Star. They gave me a couple.
Thank you, Lone Star. Truly.
And Johnny.
Yeah, this will
grab those for you.
Yeah, this will get used. This will definitely get used. I'll practice with these in the backyard.
So
that's phenomenal. Thank you.
And then when you take down Worlds, you know who to thank. Me.
Yeah,
because I brought them back.
Yeah, thank Terry.
That's all you got to do. So thank you. Keeping on brand with this week. Well, I mean, Owen is from Innova. We've got. We got
something special tonight.
Simon from MVP. We've got Discraft putting on the event.
We're doing 2 giveaways, and I've got this that's been sitting in here.
Johnny wants something to give away.
Literally, it's been sitting in this basement for
20.
No. How long have we had Patreon?
Probably since the early days of like 14 or 15.
2015, 2016. I'm going to give away tonight.
What?
One of our Patreon exclusive after show shirts.
And Johnny just slept. This is game worn. He slept in this last night, and we're not even going to wash it.
It's an XL. No, wait. I think that's an XL. I literally can't, though, Terry.
I think XL.
Oh, there it is. Yep, it's XL.
Fat fingers.
Yep, my finger was in the way. It's an XL shirt, so hopefully it fits you. But we only made a few of these. We sent them out to people who were.
I don't even have one, folks.
Patreon supporters. I'd give you this XL, Terry, but I think
it'd be too big. I don't want to use it as a night shirt.
There's a few left in that. There's like 1 or 2 more left in there, but.
All right.
I figure it's time to give one of these away. We haven't given. I was going to save it maybe for like our like 600th show or something, or
10 millionth.
Yep. But I figure this is a good thing to give away tonight. So again, like I said, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV if you want to be eligible for our weekly giveaways, including stuff like this.
And since we're going to have 2 tonight, I will offer this up to the first draw. And if they say absolutely that won't fit or it's not my style, then I will give you the
Terry's
second
other
option.
Phone.
With all my authentications.
Phone.
No, I will give you the second option, and then this would go. So I'll reach out and find out who it is.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 giveaways. So that, and then I'll find something else as well.
All right. So once again, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV for as little as $1 a month.
I'm just here for the giveaways.
Just here for the giveaways. So we have 139 people eligible for our giveaway tonight. You can be eligible by Patreon, or if you go to smashbox.tv/weekly giveaways every week, you can sign up. We erase it every week, so you need to be diligent. And you need to corroborate.
Corroborator.
You could stop,
Buy
collaborate, and listen.
and buy a carburetor.
Buy a carburetor.
Carburetor.
I did see the Ninja
Gotta
Turtles
corroborated.
cartoon this weekend with my son
Mm.
and my daughter. And at one point, one of the Ninja Turtles was kicked into a car, and the radio kicks on, and all I heard is "Go Ninja, go Ninja, go" from Vanilla Ice, which is
Wow.
a very popular song. I laughed, and there was like one or two other people in the theater that laughed. Nobody else got it. But
Miss the mark if you're not old like you.
if you're old like me. So anyway, 139 people eligible for our giveaway.
And
tonight.
what this designed by our very own Tim
Yeah.
Quartz on the board. So
Yeah.
Tim, one of our most gracious Smashies of all time, who we managed to get a selfie with. He took time from spotting to allow me a little selfie time. And I appreciate that.
I'm
Tim.
not gonna lie, I have like this XL shirt would fit me. I have one of these that I love. It feels
Yeah,
it's
these
such
are,
a
oh, these are the
it's a le-
60/40 cotton poly
these are
blend.
legit like
These
nice
are the softy
shirts.
softs.
That's the
This
stuff.
is-
I love wearing that as an undershirt.
Yeah, this is a 60/40/50. These are legit.
Terry knows his shirts.
I do.
I know you do. All right. Yeah. Okay. No one can see anything. Good. I thought maybe I was going to dock somebody, but I didn't. All right, Terry. What number should we draw for our first giveaway?
I think. How about this? You go 6 for Simon taking his 6th Elite Series down.
Ooh, we're going. That's a high number.
We are.
Or I could go 1. The first time he's ever skipped out on us.
No, we'll go 1 for Own next. It'll
All right.
be the 1. So
All right.
go
So
6.
our 6th number, our first number is 79, 139, 28, 20, 95, and our 6th
Two-factor.
and final number, that's your 2-factor authentication, Terry, is 125. So 125. It's sorted by first name.
Ooh, I'm feeling
Oh, God.
Willie or William.
I'm thinking Tim Courts won this one. No. 125. It asked me to log back
Just
in.
kicked him
Uh,
out.
literally
That's
kicked me.
hilarious.
I thought it said Tim Lee, but I'm not sure. So let me look that. 125 is. Come on, load up.
Oh, the
Oh, whoops.
anticipation.
Wrong page. There we go.
Oh my gosh.
125 was. I'm sorry, Tim Lucas, not Tim Lee.
Close.
Tim Lucas. So
Tim Lucas.
thank you, Tim. You're an active Patreon supporter.
Thank you.
You'll
Tim.
have the option of this shirt or whatever Terry decides he's going to pull out of his.
If I mean you got your first, you get first swing.
Yeah,
at
he
this
gets
shirt.
first swing. Tim Lucas does. All right,
Thank you,
so
Tim.
let me mark that. I'm going to highlight that row as I always do with nice green color. All right, Terry. Our next, we're going to do one more here. So boom, it's our
I like
very
it.
next one, right? It's our very next one.
Yes.
So you
Very
can
next one. Own picking up their first W for an Elite Series.
Elite Series. She has a few
She's won everything
majors.
else.
She has a
Majors,
few silvers.
Yeah, silvers, so on and so forth. But
All right.
she has other FPO wins.
The next one is 59.
59.
59, says Terry. 59 is, scroll up. That is JC17393.
Nice. It's
Jake-
been a minute.
Jay Connell.
Yes, it's been a minute. I could almost hand deliver that, I feel like. Not to
Oh, really?
dox them, but I think that's north. I'm going to double check, but I think that's somewhere out in the northeast,
Ooh.
if
all
I
right.
recall.
All right. So thank you, Jay.
It's been a while, though, since
Connell.
he's a long while. Since you've been gone.
Please, no.
Maybe
Not
not.
Terry. If you're a sci-fi guy, person, I don't want to limit it to a specific gender. If you're a sci-fi person and you have Apple TV, watch the TV series Silo. It's well done. It's based on a book a short book that I
Like
read.
SILO?
It's about these people who live down underground in a silo. More or less, it's like this giant 120 floor. There's like 10,000 people that live in it. Something happened to the earth where they can't go outside, so they just
this
live.
is like adjacent to some conspiracy theories I've been sent to.
Oh,
you know.
really?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
I read the original book Wool, the first short story when it first came out, and I guess they had a bunch more short stories that they ended up making into one big book. And now there's 3 books, and now I'm tempted to read the other books because my wife and I watched the entire series. I watched it, and she kind of sat down at one point, and then after about
Checked
2
out.
episodes. No, after about 2 episodes where I asked her, I'm like, hey, here's kind of the premise. Do you want to watch it? She's like, nah, you're good. Well, as she's sitting around as I'm watching these, now she's getting more and more interested. Like, oh, who's that? Why? And once she asks a question, I know she's in, which is great. But on the other hand, it's bad because then I have to wait for her to watch
get her all
it.
caught up and watch.
Gotta get her all caught up to watch. But anyway, Silo was really good. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. What We Do in the Shadows, as always, is still really funny. Yeah, I think that's all that I've been really watching. I think I'm gonna read the other Silo books now, the Wool series or whatever they're called.
I like Wolf, the beverage.
I've never heard of that.
You wouldn't like.
No, I probably wouldn't.
Amazing. It's a barrel-aged stout.
I probably wouldn't like
out
that.
Of
then.
Three Sheeps up in Sheboygan. We should go there now.
I like whiskey.
You
I like
would.
scotch.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
rum.
gonna drink some maple syrup. Vermont.
Okay, you're just gonna stick your lips on a tree and suck.
Just get
to
it.
I heard those trees like to suck, and you're gonna return the favor.
Your syrup. I think that's about everything, folks. Unless you guys have something that you're gonna throw at us super quickly here for us to continue to dissect or discuss. But I believe that is most of what we have going on.
Next week will be the big event as we get Worlds kicked in, and then
then we start closing out the season, which is going to be, for lack of a better term, just a whirlwind because we have the Worlds. Then we're going to have
Worlds win.
Yep, the 2 weeks later we have MVP, and then we have U.S. Women's, and then essentially a week and a half, 2 weeks later we have USDGC/Throw Pink, and then the very week after that is the Tour Championships. Like that is a ton of high level, longer. Almost everything I just named is 4 or 5 days of golf. Just a lot of things going on. So Tim says any coverage of doubles, if there is, it won't be on my channel. I don't know if a gatekeeper or a pro tour will be out there in any capacity. That's hit or miss. I don't want to say I gave up on that, but that's a lot of extra to try and pull that off. And so best of luck to anyone out there that's going to be part of it this weekend. And to be frank, with it being on Saturday and with all the travel that's coming up over the next month and a half, that means I won't get out to Smugs till Monday or so instead. And a few extra days of not being on the ground is okay with me. Terry's going to find the first maple tree he sees and tap that thing hard. It's
not outrageous.
I'd tap that. I've always enjoyed it, but I'm old. Tim says, yeah, the doubles are great. I mean,
he said he's odd, not old. I mean, he is old, but he's also odd.
But I'm old. Okay.
I mean, I love Tim. But.
Yeah, it is fun. It's just what we've learned over the last few years, though, is because of the format, it's so like you could have somebody come off like the fourth card that doesn't get covered. Even if now we've gotten to a point of covering first and second card, the winners literally come off the third or the fourth card, depending on the format and the style. And that becomes very anticlimactic when...
Wait, say that word again?
Anticlimactic. Okay. When that happens. Like, and that... I remember Peoria covered lead card, Madison and Zach came off like the third card.
Those jerks.
Who does that? Bluetooth game, try this. Also, somebody said something about me getting a Nintendo Switch. That'll die quickly. I'd probably find one game I like, maybe. I'd never get around to remembering it. And then I would think this isn't worth the hassle to play one game. I appreciate the idea, but I'm not enough of a gamer to ever really...
I got a Nintendo
quite honestly,
Switch.
I don't want to spend that much time doing it, which is why as soon as this Blockbuster,
Blast,
whatever it is, I don't even know the name of it. As soon as that dies, like I'll kind of feel a little bit relieved in my head. I'm like, okay, Terry, how many selfies with disc golfers do you have on your phone? Truth be told, I try. It doesn't always work. I try to get a picture with the champ after every event, MPO and FPO. Often I can pull it off. And then I always have the best intentions of posting it on Monday, and I rarely now remember or get around to it. I don't know if there's a payoff to that story, but that's what happens. So I've got a lot. And again, a lot of times it's a lot of the same people, except for this year, right? With all the unique winners. But
a lot of unique winners.
I got a lot of pictures with Paul and Paige, Rick.
Ray, you have a picture with Ray. Tim,
now a few years. Yep.
Ray and Tim are winners.
That's right. True. You can catch Pokemon. No, that never interested me. You can always offer your phone and take the pictures for selfies. You banked me in 2018. Do they stay there? Yeah, Ray. Oh, it's there. It's definitely there. It's on the Google. It's Google. Google has it under my two-factor authentication. They don't let anyone else get at it.
Super safe there.
Maybe too safe to never be seen again.
That's right.
Ray, what event was that at? I'll have to go back and, but I definitely have it. All right, guys, we're going to call it. That has been fun. We do appreciate you. I see some of you left once the giveaway was done. I don't blame you.
That's what I'm going to do.
Looking forward to next week. Best of luck to everybody who is playing anywhere, but specifically also out at our silver event in New York. Best of luck. Hope everybody is good to go. For Johnny, I'm Terry Miller. My phone's protected. So is my Discord. And I'll be chatting with you there. We'll see you next week for episode 469. You step inside the Smashbox.